Yeah. Thank you, and good evening. We are going to reconvene to open session at 6:10 p.m. and report that there was no action taken in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957.1. I can ask you all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have Diane Grooms lead us.
Of the United States of America, the Republic for nation, indivisible, liberty.
Thank you very much. Moving right on to information items, and ask Rebecca for the enrollment report.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So as of today, our total TK through 8th grade enrollment is 13,772 students. In ECE, we have 555 students for a grand total of 14,327 students. This is a gain of 47 from our last board report and a gain of 164 from the same time last year. So that's good news.
Thank you very much for that good news. Moving to 10B, Constitution Week, and ask for Mary Thurston.
And I am not sure Ms. Thurston was able to come. She had an emergency that she had to tend to, and a medical emergency, nothing drastic, but she was fearful that she might be running late. But in her absence, I just want to point out to everyone that we are grateful for Mary's continued support of Constitution Day. There are some documents there for the board as well as the audience to review. But just as a reminder, we celebrate Constitution Day each year on September 17th to mark the anniversary of the signing of the U.S. Constitution in 1787. Mary Thurston is a proud member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and as such, she has been wonderful about providing us educational resources, posters, and a lot of different information to celebrate Constitution Day and Constitution Week for our students and our staff members to utilize. So we greatly appreciate her and this opportunity to continue to recognize and honor Constitution Day and Constitution Week.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And moving to 10C, transportation update.
I'm not sure. I know there's a lot that's been going on with transportation. We don't have a formal update. I don't believe at this time, unless there's something you would like to report out, Mrs. Grimm.
We are, I'm on the board of the school's transportation agency. We are at the mercy of the CHP. We have several drivers who have been trained, but until they are actually authorized to drive and pass inspection by the CHP. And of course, they've been working him overtime so much that he's been put on time off. So it's a vicious circle. And right now we have about 13 supervisors and management staff who are driving every day in order to complete the routes. And they are still asking for, forgiveness, forbearance, as they try to get everyone to school when they're supposed to be to school. But it has been a rough start, mostly due to the lack of employees. And we're down only about 7 drivers right now, but by the time you add absences and things like that, then you virtually have every management staff driving. So it's been a very interesting start to the year.
I was going to say, I know that they have been challenged with staffing, just as we and many other agencies have been challenged. So we will continue to thank them for their efforts. And keep our fingers crossed that they can get all of those positions filled. So
Great.
thank you for the update.
Thank you. That leaves us with other.
I do have one other item to share with the board. This was one of those last minute things, and that's why we have an other. This afternoon, actually, we received notification from El Dorado, from our sheriff's department, our district deputies, that there was a situation that they needed to respond to at El Dorado Park this afternoon. And it was a very serious situation that occurred in the park. I understand there was a shooting involved. And while I don't know all the details of the situation, I did want to share with you, El Dorado Park is adjacent to El Dorado School. This situation occurred right at the release time today. Today's a minimum day for schools. And I am very pleased and proud to say that our deputies responded quickly. They utilized our emergency management notification system and were able to put an alert into the system, which immediately notified all of the parties that needed to be notified of the shutter, stay in place and shutter, basically a lockdown situation. Given that they were in the middle of releasing, the response was a little different than we normally train for, but nonetheless, it was quite appropriate, and we're very pleased. The staff responded quickly. They got everyone indoors, including the students and parents that would otherwise have been walking. So everyone was able to shutter in a safe place until we received notification that it was safe for them to exit and go on their way and go home. So much so, I have something to share with you. If the vanity of me not having my glasses doesn't prevent me from reading it, just a moment. I received a notification this afternoon, I believe, from Mr. Coleman. If I didn't, did I lose it that quickly? Oh, I know, and trying to make sure that they don't disappear on me. But I will let you know that he shared with me a copy of a post from the AV scanner that was added by the Lancaster Sheriff's Department, their PR person. And they had commented on what an excellent job everyone at El Dorado School did in responding to this, and how pleased they were with the entire community, but especially with the school staff, and how well the Sheriff's Department, as well as our school deputies, as well as all of our school staff, communicated well and just did a wonderful job of making sure that everyone was safe and calm, even in the midst of a very crazy, chaotic, and very unfortunate situation. But I am very thankful for all that our Sheriff's Department does for us in supporting and communicating what we need to know and what we need to do. And we got a chance to see our system catapult in action. And this is exactly the reason why we have that system, plus the support of the Sheriff's Department, because it's not always what's happening in our schools, but sometimes it's in our community and what we need to do to keep our students and our staff members safe. So thank you very much to the Sheriff's Department, and a special thank you to Mr. Coleman, the principal over at El Dorado, and Mrs. Newlander, the assistant principal, because under their leadership, everything went seamlessly. I don't know. Is Mr. Coleman here? I don't think so. He's holding down the park still. Okay.
Moving on to number 11, curriculum highlights.
We have not had the pleasure of bringing you curriculum highlights in a little while. So we are very excited and honored this evening to be highlighting the world of itinerants presented by Mrs. Amy Westlake and the Promise Academy.
All right. I would just first of all like to thank Dr. Bowers, members of Cabinet, and the school board for this opportunity to share our mighty group of staff that support a large number of students throughout our district, as well as the Antelope Valley SELPA. This group is our itinerant service providers who are constantly on the move, going from school site to school site, providing services, conducting assessments, collaborating with staff, and let's not forget attending IEP meetings. Their caseload is fluid, constantly changing. They're extremely adaptable and dedicated, and seldom have a day without at least 2 IEP meetings or more, which they need to prepare for to present specific information in regards to student needs and progress, as well as to complete all required IEP documentation. They work out of their cars as their job duties require them to be traveling the majority of their workday. Now, our orthopedic and visual impairment service providers are classified as low incidence services because they are not common disabilities among the typical population. Our OI and VI service providers have a student caseload that encompasses the entire Antelope Valley SOPA, which consists of 13 school districts. Our occupational therapists, physical therapists, adaptive physical education specialists, and assistive technology support the entire Lancaster School District. All our itinerant specialists either require a specialized credential or a teaching credential with an added authorization in their specific area of expertise. All our itinerant staff are assigned to the Promise Academy, which ensures support in all aspects, from personnel supervision, processing of referrals for assessment, case study, and anything else that is needed to ensure they can meet their students' needs. Many of the therapists work collaboratively to ensure the best possible plan is devised for our students. There's a saying, it takes a village. Well, I'd have to say with our service providers, it takes a village, service providers with their expertise and dedication ensure our neediest and most impacted students are able to make progress and access their educational setting. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our village. As long as technology works, everybody keep their fingers crossed.
Hi, I'm Ren. And I'm Jen, and we're OT. OT stands for Occupational Therapy Department. A lot of us doesn't know about what we do in the school district, but we address fine motor skills such as handwriting and cutting, and also sensory processing. And aside from that, we also recommend adaptation or any modification that the student needs to access their curriculum. Between the two of us in the district, we service about 110 kids, and these children are over 20 schools in the 22 schools of Lancaster School District. So we're at most of the schools in our district.
Yep. Okay, go ahead. Big line down. Turn around. Jump up. You can do 2 jumps. There you go. Now slide. And then big line up. Good job. Okay, going over by the end. So Micah can do the end. Stand right here. Right here. Right here. Stand right here. Okay, Micah, your turn. Ready? On the happy face, stand right here. Okay, big line down. Walk your line down. Good job. Okay, turn around. Frog jump up.
Yeah.
Good job. Slide down. You guys are so good at walking on lines. And big line up. That's okay.
Good job, bud.
Yay!
Yay! Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ren, occupational therapist, and part of what we do in the school district is to assess the students for us to know what they need in order to access their curriculum. Yay! And we can just put the marker or a crayon in there for it to be more fun, and with the wheels, it helps the kids to move it. Okay, move the car. Yay! Good job, James. You're driving the car. There you go. Look, watch me. Oh, I got one. I got another one. Yay! Keep the blue one. Yay!
Hi,
Hi, I'm Erin Titone. I'm an itinerant orthopedic impairment education specialist.
Hi, and I'm Jamie, and I'm also an orthopedic impairment specialist.
Our job is to service various students within the Antelope Valley SELPA. So we do a lot of traveling. We don't have a classroom that we sit in, and we don't see students on a regular and consistent basis. Our jobs are to collaborate with people like the physical therapists, the occupational therapists, adaptive PE specialists, and of course the classroom teachers and staff in providing access for students that have physical impairments. We have about 200 students amongst the two of us in the entire Antelope Valley. Our students range anywhere from general education all the way up to mod severe. So we have a huge range, and we service students from 3 years old all the way until they leave high school and transition into sometimes adult centers. We provide equipment that you might see in the classroom for students, like adaptive chairs so that they can sit, adaptive walkers so that they can get around and have mobility on the campus, and different types of adaptive equipment that like the physical therapist might use so that they can stand, even crawl. So the other component of what we do is assistive technology for our students. So although we're not assistive technology specialists, we do provide access to things like communication devices that the speech pathologist might use in the classroom and even at home for the students. So we have a very large amount of students, and we have a very large amount of things that we do. But primarily our goal is to make sure that every student with a physical disability can come to school and access their educational environment. Thanks.
Hi, I am Jamie. I am the itinerant para for orthopedic impairment teachers, the occupational therapy teachers, and the assistive technology teacher. I basically spend my days running around delivering, repairing, and adjusting equipment. The chairs and the standers that Erin was talking about in the last video. I also update and fix any of the iPads throughout the Antelope Valley SELPA that might be having issues. When I am not out delivering supplies or equipment, I am in the office ordering the equipment, maintaining the equipment that's in the SELPA, as well as organizing all of the occupational therapy equipment. Basically, if there is a need with any of our itinerants, I'm there to help them and support them.
Walker, and I am the itinerant teacher for the visually impaired. I've been doing this almost 10 years, and I do go from school to school, and I service blind and low vision students ages 1st to 22 in the Acton, Keppel, Palmdale, Wilsona, and some of the high school districts. I perform functional vision assessments to qualify students for my specialized service. Not every student who has a visual impairment will qualify. If it adversely affects their education and can they see what they need to see in the classroom. I do provide low vision equipment, devices, and keyboarding and direct instruction in Braille. We consult with teachers to have the classroom teachers accessible, do any accommodations we need to do. I'm here today with one of my students who receives direct Braille instruction. And we work with the teacher. Anything that they're doing in the classroom, we do transcribe into Braille so that she's able to read it and participate in the lesson. She can also use a Braille writer to write her answers or to do any writing she needs. This is her pen and paper. And when she's done, I just overwrite into print so the teachers and staff can see. Is there anything else, Camila? Anything you want to say? No. Okay.
My name is Anna Orellana. I'm a teacher for students with visual impairments. I've been working with Lancaster School District for 16 years. I've been a teacher for the visually impaired for 23 years. Here I am with my student, Henry. He is a student in the Antelope Valley Union High School District. He is a Braille user, and he has transitioned from the regular Brailler to our Braille Note Touch Plus, which is a tablet that he can use in class and participate in everything that all the other students can do. Henry, what do you like best about using your Braille Note Touch Plus?
What I like best about this device is I can do everything other students do.
That's great, Henry. So this is what we do on a daily basis. We provide support to our students in whatever aspect that they need. If they need help with geometry, we help them with geometry, and we help them with Braille. And this is what we're out in the field running around to schools doing all day.
Hi, we're back at the office, and I am here with my two assistants who are certified in Braille, and they help me so much. Couldn't do this without it. They produce the Braille, they will see students, they will help with keyboarding. So they really do a lot to help us and keep us going with all the districts in the SELPA. So here is Emma, and then we got
Dina from VI, and I'm in charge mostly of doing the Braille for our students.
Okay. So can you show a little bit of how we do the Braille?
Yes, like I go to the DBT, Dictionary Translator, and I just type in print, and let me see, file, new, Braille.
So we can also do our Braille via a software on the computer, which helps.
BC. Hi, Amy. So this is what a Braille looks like on the computer, and then we just send it over to our embosser, and it will automatically print it one line or a whole page, like in a few seconds. So emboss.
And that's it.
This is our Braille. ABC. Hi, Amy.
Letitia, I'm a physical therapist for the district. And like I say in most meetings, my role is to help with safety and access while students are at school, and also mobility, which relates to access and increasing their independence as far as their physical skills go. So it may look a little different for, depending on the child's needs, but I'd say a majority of my kids are also orthopedically impaired. So they'll have issues with walking, holding their head, something physically with their strength. So a lot of times what I support on is positioning. So making sure when they're sitting in a chair, are they in an optimal position to access their stool? If they can't hold their head up, do we have them supported with, so they can have head control? Everything up to some kids who just have a seizure disorder may fall out of their seat, so they need just an armrest, a simple adaptation. I also am familiar with adaptive equipment, so we do a lot of adjusting of gait trainers. There's a lot of buttons and different ways you can set up the gait trainers to make them work for each individual kid. So we problem solve and help the team do that, and then set it up in a way where they can use it consistently. Another way we help is transfers and safety. So there's some kiddos who need help with toileting, need help getting in and out of their wheelchair, onto their equipment. So we make sure staff is doing that in the most safe and efficient way for both the student and the staff member. So we want safety across the board with that. And independence, that's one other one I wanted to touch on. Some of our kids come to us in preschool not being able to walk, and they need more help. They need equipment, they need certain things. If we're able to get them to the point where they're walking independently or doing things more independently, it increases their independence and it decreases the amount we need to accommodate and do things for them. So it's really important, especially the younger kids, that we set up the environment, set up a program that encourages them to walk. And just because they're not walking doesn't mean we only, just always have them in their wheelchair, always have them sitting in a chair. They should be given opportunities, and they can be, to make sure they're also becoming more independent. So the video of the child you'll see next is a student who came to us with, she just would sit and crawl a few steps, wasn't very confident able to stand, refused to take any steps. And she's to the point where she's taking about 5 independent steps. And I am really hopeful by this time next year she'll be walking independently. So she's a good success story of the importance of that problem solving, the intervention, that seeing what equipment works and doesn't for students to get them as independent as possible.
This is Rashawn. When we first started with her, she's going to run away.
All right, Rashawn. Now the camera's on, you're going to stop. So sometimes as part of what I do is setting up a gait trainer. Rashawn gets going fast, so we put drag on the wheels. I know you all want me to hold you back on.
And we have the back wheels locked, so she has a little bit of turn, but not too much. She has some control. So we'll see how she does. You ready to go? Show him. Come on. Step, step. You camera shy? Give my hand. There you go. Good job. There you go. Very nice. Give my hand. Good work. Yeah, so you can see it wiggles and she has to correct it, but it's not overly. You gonna try to go up the stairs? You gonna try to go up the stairs with me? You can try. Ready? Let's go upstairs. You stand. You wanna go back inside? You gotta stand. You gotta stand. Stand and step. There you go. Good. Good. Stand and step. You can hold the rail if you want. Hold the rail. Good. Stand and step. Good. Step. Good. Stand and step. Other leg. Nice. Keep going. Good job, Rashawn. I put drag on all 4 wheels and let her go backwards. She's got better control. Good. Legs under you and go. Up. Up. Go. Good. Go. Up. There you go. Good. Good. Can you walk to your gait trainer, Mama? Can you take some steps? There you go. Good. Get in there. Nice. So she used to need a chest support. Nice. That was her transitioning the first time.
My name is Tyler Heckathorn. I have worked in Lancaster for 5 years and in education for 9. This is my first year in this position, and I'm so excited to support students in finding an alternative voice.
Do you collaborate with other providers?
Yes.
Do you collaborate with parents and outside providers?
Yes.
Do you work with students to determine what assistive technology supports will help students access their educational environment?
Yes.
Is there any more you want to say, or are you all done?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Furman. I'm a first-year adapted PE teacher here at Lancaster School District.
Hi, my name is Brad Hazard. This is my 21st year teaching for the Lancaster School District. I spent my first 20 teaching general PE, and now it's my first year teaching adapted PE.
The adapted PE teacher is a direct service provider because physical education for children with disabilities is a federally mandated component of special education services.
Adapted PE, it's specialized, it's individualized, it's modified PE to meet the diverse needs of our students. Our focus is primarily on motor skills, and with motor skills, we focus specifically on object control, which are things like throwing, catching, striking, focus on kicking, and then also gross motor skills, things like running, galloping, skipping, sliding, things like balancing.
I'd just like to give a shout out because technology is always so stressful. I had received the information that in board meetings we couldn't have everybody present, but I wanted to give an opportunity for everybody to be seeing all of our itinerants and what they do. So I just want to thank Brandon and his team because I know it wasn't easy to get this video going today, and I really appreciate your work doing that. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy, and to your entire team. Thank you for all that you do. I wanted to cheer the students on so many times watching this video. You had cheerleaders up here, really. So thank you for all that you do.
iReady Student Report 2021, 2020-2021, and LCAP response.
You have a presentation? We're going to get the presentation set up, but as they do, I'll just share that, every year we provide an update to the community regarding our prior year, end of year data. Last year, we were given some flexibility by the state to use our local assessments to collect data on our students' academic progress. So tonight, our team is going to report on that data and how we're going to use that data going forward. So I'm pleased tonight to have Dr. Goins, Sam Hume, Krista Thompson, and Rosemary Napoleon to share a presentation report with you. Oh, Alicia Casey, I'm so sorry. Got the whole crew.
I like to say that when I come here, I like to bring a whole party to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to say what they got to say. So first of all, I want to thank board, thank you cabinet for giving us the opportunity to be able to provide the information tonight. Tonight, a majority of what you're about to hear, actually, I'll jump to the purpose really quick. The purpose of tonight for this particular presentation is to go over some of the information that we have, where we're at and what we've done over the past year and the response that we're getting ready to, that we have been implementing. This is one of those ideas that we're going to consistent basis going to be telling you this is where we're at and this is what we're doing to get to the next steps. So it's almost like a cyclical line of continuous improvement, because that's what we're trying to get at. So the first purpose tonight is to provide an overview of the disaggregated data coming from our iReady assessment. So in the previous year, we, generally speaking, at this point in the year, we would have California's or the CASP information ready for you. Because last year we had the flexibility of not taking the CASP at the district level, we took the iReady assessment, and that is our main measure. So this is part of that piece of us telling you that in telling the community that this is the information, this is where our kids are at this particular point at the end of last year and where we're moving forward. The second piece, or the second purpose here, is to provide an overview of the district's coordinated response. So what are we going to do about it? So where were we successful, and where we were successful, how do we expand on that success? And where we had some challenges, how do we get past the barriers that we may have experienced? So with that said, we've got we have the best team that I can in the Valley in terms of how to respond to things of such nature and making sure that we're doing this good work. So with that said, I don't understand why you want to hear anything more from me, because I'm not the data guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Sam Hume, and he's going to provide us with some information about our disaggregated data on our iReady this year.
Thank you, Dr. Goins. Can you guys hear me? Great. One of the requirements that when we choose to administer the iReady instead of the smart and balanced assessment is that we need to share our information with the public, along with the student report that we sent with our report card at the end of last year. That's one of the requirements, that we need to notify our family how their student did on the assessment at the end of the year. You have seen this particular graphic previously. This just to indicate that at the end of last year, you could see from fall to the spring, we saw an increase of 10% for the green. The green represent early on or above grade level. And then when you look at the red, the two colors represent students who were 2 or more below grade levels. As you can see, we did decrease the percentage of students who score 3 or more below grade level, which is great. That's what we want to see. We want to continue to see the green percentage continue to go up, and we want to see the red continue to go down. So that's for reading. So how did our students perform, different student groups? So I generated this particular graph to compare. You can see that the first bar represent our district. And then the other one represent different student groups and also our different program. I drew a blue line across the graph to show where are the gaps in our different student groups or program. As you can see, we have our African American students We have our low socioeconomics. We have our EL, SPED, foster, and homeless. Those students perform below the blue line. So those are gaps that we have seen in reading. Here's the end of the year for mathematics. So again, you have the fall versus spring of 2021. Again, we saw an increase of students who are early on or above grade level by 10%. We did see reductions in percentage for the students who scored 3 or more below grade level. Again, that's what we would like to see every year, that those students who are green or at yellow continue to increase so that they can move into the green band. And then the students who are 3 or more below grade level move to the next band. So our goal is to reduce the number of students who need the most intensive support. Again, I created this graph to show where are the gaps between different student groups. So again, you see the Lancaster District on the first bar represent 23%. And again, you see the same student groups are African American, or low socioeconomics, EL, SPED, foster, and homeless, compared to the district average. So this is what we found at the end of the year, spring. We saw that we did see an increase in tier 1, which is the green. We also saw a decrease in red, tier 3, in both reading and mathematics. Okay, that's fall to spring. However, when you look at the data overall compared to 2019, 2020, we saw more students who were not ready for grade level work compared to prior to COVID-19. We also saw that unfinished learning is more significant particularly in mathematics grade 1 through 5, and also for reading grade 1, 2, and 3, which is not a surprise to us because those students in 2019 and 2020, they missed about 3 months of school. They didn't get the foundation skill. Even though we did it through distant learning, it's not the same having the instruction in person. And then the graph that you saw in the last couple of slides, we saw more significant student groups who have that learning gaps, right? We saw African American, we saw English language learners, special ed, foster, and homeless. I didn't include low socioeconomics because they're just barely below the district average. So how are we doing this fall? Okay. So again, I want to give credit to our staff, students, family. We were really happy to see, even with despite all the challenges this year, our completion rate is at around 95%, both reading and mathematics. Okay. So that's including first grade all the way up to 8th grade. So here's the results for the fall of this year. You can see currently, based on that information, we have 15% of the students who score at the green level. Okay. And then 53% at 2 or more below grade levels. And then if you see at the bottom of the graph, it's identified by different domain. And one of the things that we had discussed this morning in cabinet was that Jane had asked me to pull some data. She had done early literacy program during the summer, and we had identified second grade as a particular grade level that we need to focus on. And so I did some research and looked at our current data. The data also indicated our second grade students, about 282 students who are 2 or more below in all of the domains, all 5 domains. And in the area that I saw the highest percentage was phonics across the district. So that is something that we as a district is going to address the need of our students in that area. Here's the results for mathematics. So again, we start with 5%, and then 61% of students who score 2 or more below grade levels. Again, you can see the breakdown by domain. We still see a lot of the students who are struggling with especially the math foundational skills. So at this time, I'm going to ask Krista to.
So given the information, there's been some information making sure that you understand the shift of where we're coming from now. This is not the CASP, but it's predictive of what the CASP would be like in fall of 2020 or 2021 if we were to take the assessment today. But which makes sense, because what student would be on grade level would be on grade level at this particular, or be at high grade level, ready to perform at this particular time. The benefit to this is that we have an opportunity, and an awesome opportunity, to do some great work. And there's a great area and a great place for us to be able to do that work and be able to make awesome things happen with the Lancaster School District, to make sure that and ensure that this district continues with the options and excellence for the students that we have. So with that said, we're going to start off our discussion on the district's coordinated response, addressing what is it that we're going to do and how is it that we're doing it, so that we can bring that all together and be able to make that happen. So we're going to start that off with my colleague and partner in crime, Ms. Krista Thompson.
Good evening. All right. So if you want to know Krista's life in one slide, this is it. I'm going to sum it up in 2 minutes. So what are we doing as a result of this data for our students to learn on the academic side of the house? First of all, and we've talked about a lot of this before, so I'm just going to reiterate a few things. First of all, we work on the high priority standards. Those are the standards that we've identified as the most essential that students need to master by the end of the grade level. Spending our time and energy and going deep with those standards to help close those gaps that Sam spoke of. In addition, we focus on teacher clarity. You've heard a lot of schools in their SIPSA presentations talk about their focus of teacher clarity. Again, very shortly, that is, do students know what it is that they're supposed to learn? Do they know what it looks like when they learn? Do teachers, are they able to communicate that with students and back and forth? There's a lot more to that, but that's very short. We are focusing on foundational reading and math skills. You can see from the data, this is a strong need. So we are really reinforcing what's happening with our reading foundational skills and moving towards a district-wide effort with this. Last spring, we had a foundational reading scope and sequence built for K2, which is basically a pacing guide for our littles. Based on our curriculum to help our teachers understand the routines that are involved with early literacy and what to focus on in their curriculum. We are working on third grade this year as well. That's coming out. We have 4 schools in the district that received a early literacy grant. And so I am supporting those 4 schools, Jack Northrop, Monte Vista, Mariposa, and Joshua, in focusing on early literacy skills in those schools and, again, scaling that up district-wide. We are also working on, for our teachers, providing scaffolds and progressions in math and reading, so that for our students who are not at grade level, which is the majority, how do you scaffold those grade level standards down so that students can access those grade levels standards where they're at and get the information that they need and the learning that they need? So we've got a lot of really awesome documents coming out of my office to help teachers with that too. We are going to be focusing on the alignment of standards and grading practices, which is super important. We have standards-based report cards, but we want to make this a little bit of a larger practice in terms of how do we report on that? How do we give feedback on standards and ensure that our parents and our students understand how they're progressing through the standards? We have revised and updated our SST process. Super excited about this piece. We have a brand new process in PowerSchool for documenting, identifying, and documenting students who are in need of some extra supports and interventions, and the process by which we can give them those needed supports to get them where they need to be. We have new, old and new multiple methods of professional development. As we've said before, we've discovered a lot of new ways to provide professional development, both virtually, asynchronously. We have professional development with coaches. We're bringing in consultants. So lots of different ways for our teachers to grow in their learning as well. We have tutoring assistants, tutor.com, for our students who are needing some enrichment before and after school and help from home. We are also focusing on tiered instruction and intervention and small group instruction as a way to identify, using that data, what students need, what skills, how do we put them in small groups to focus on those skills for smaller group instruction, and give them what they need in concentrated formulas, concentrated ways. And then what data are we going to be looking at to make sure that this implementation is working? We look at our PLC and site level formative assessment data. We use tools such as Illuminate, Standards Mastery from iReady, and common formative assessments that our PLC teams put together. We have the iReady diagnostic, as Sam has already shared a lot of data with you on that. And the online instruction data is the second piece of that that our students participate in their own pathway for what their own individual skills are and the work that they do on the online instruction. So there's data that informs our teachers about where they can focus with that. And finally, we also have a plethora of things here in this last bullet: SST reports, how we're doing on those goals in the SSTs, attendance records, walkthrough data that we use when we walk through schools, and of course, intervention data from the different groups there. So that's my life in a nutshell. I'll turn it over to Alicia. Thank you. So focusing on equitable learning practices and positive learning environments. So one of the ways that we do this is through professional development that creates a positive culture and climate at our staffs. So some of our equity-focused PDs include the Milo Method Equity Impact course. This course integrates academic, social emotional learning, and behavior. We also have our Capturing Kids' Hearts. Our Capturing Kids' Hearts not only includes Capturing Kids' Hearts 1, which is our social contracts, our 5 questions, our Excel process. But within Capturing Kids' Hearts, the flipping group trainings, we also have the Process Champions, which supports coaching for CKH1 strategies and processes. We also have a CKH1 Recharge, which deals with the implementation and application of CKH1 strategies and processes. We also have Winning Culture, and the Winning Culture is for our classified staff. We also have other equity-focused PDs, such as implicit bias. We also have emotional intelligence and our focal student and equity approach. This came from the National Equity Project and is the foundation of one of our trainings. And the last 3 are presented by people from within our district. We also accomplish this through our MTSS, which is our multi-tier systems of support framework. With this framework, the goal is to provide equitable supports for all of our students. It's a tiered approach. And so we have tier 1, which is for all students, tier 2, which is for some students, tier 3, which is for a few students. With our multi-tier systems of support framework, it includes both academics and social emotional behavior supports. Also with our MTSS, it is based off of our district priorities. So the supports within are based off of our district priorities, which is standards-based instruction, PLC, professional learning communities, and also PBIS, positive behavior intervention and support. And I will pass it over to special education and Rose.
So in special education, besides the legal and compliance piece of it, this is the fun part of our job, that we really want to ensure that our vision and mission across the district continues, that all of our students with disabilities are general education first, and special education is a service and not a place, and that we are part of MTSS. I think many years there was a belief that it's either special ed or general ed, and we are moving towards we are all one system, and that is where all means all. If you see the little picture on the left, we used to believe in special ed that a smaller separate setting was the best for our students. And we're moving towards, no, that's probably not the best thing for our students based on our test scores and our outcomes. That really integrating our students with disabilities with non-disabled peers would be the best for our students. And we are there to service the students to help them access that curriculum. And I will say that I'm so proud of our administrators who have been up here presenting their SIPSAs. I've never heard so much action items on inclusion, inclusive practices in learning centers, and how are we going to get our students with disabilities in general education and provide those supports. So as a special ed director sitting back there, I'm so proud of our administrators to have the open mind and understanding how important this is for our students. And the puzzle pieces is that I'm not alone in this. My fellow directors and even Dr. Bowers and our cabinet really believe that we are all responsible for students with disabilities. It's not the special education department. So everyone works together and ensures that our students are included in their plans. and through MTSS, providing equitable practices. And I'm so grateful for Alicia, who really supports students with disabilities and really asks those really brave questions about how we include students with disabilities across the district.
So there's one more piece to it, though, that we want to make sure that this is brought out to light. So there's also English language development that we're working this year we're bringing up to light and providing even more of a spotlight on how we're going to be able to work this through. So this year, our coordinator for English language learners has developed an ELA priority set of standards for our teachers to be able to utilize, to be able to get into the classrooms and be able to use during integrated time. So there's a difference between designated and integrated English language development that we're focusing on. And that's something that we're training on hard beginning. One of the days that we're going to be doing that is going to be tomorrow, where we're bringing about an understanding of what designated practices are and what integrated practices are, and how with integrated practices, this is how we teach alongside with where the students are getting the access to the English language development from their peers, but along with their teachers using strategies that they can use in any classroom. And then when in designated instruction, we're focusing specifically on that speaking, listening, writing, and reading, and making sure that students are gaining access to the actual ability to have that English language and build their access up build their understanding of that up. Another piece that we're really focusing on, and you'll see throughout the LCAP, again, that you guys have already read, is the revamping of our newcomers program. We're starting to realize that we're getting more and more newcomers up into the Antelope Valley. So because of that, we want to be proactive and make sure that we're addressing that, so that we can show that when we're bringing them in, we're giving them the ability to be able to be on campus and be able to get as acclimated as possible and feel as comfortable as possible. Our newcomers are our students. This is the California designated term for students who are brand new to our country. And we're getting quite a few coming up into the Antelope Valley now, which is a blessing, because it's a whole nother way of thinking. Another piece that we're working on is that I'm very proud of is our Avid, and everybody in cabinet would realize I say this a lot. Avid Excel, I'm extremely excited about this. We've been working on this, and we've seen marked difference with our long-term English learners, and how we're getting kids reclassified before they go to high school. That was one of the focuses about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, when we first presented. I can remember at one of the gyms, and we were talking about English language development. That was one of the things that we brought in right after that as a response, and it has been successful. So it has been successful thus far. So those are some of the things that we're working on in terms of English language development right now. So I don't want to leave out the other pieces of what we're doing, because there's so much, and especially after such a trying year as of 2020-21, understanding everything was online. We've done a lot of work. I mean, and everybody in this room needs to be commended for the work that they did, from the hiring of every teacher and classified staff member in this place, to the people that have done that work of being able to supervise people on campuses, to teaching the kids, to being able to supervise kids while they're playing and keeping them safe when we have them in schools when we brought them back. Everybody here has worked extremely hard, and we continue to do so. And this is some of the pieces that we put in place to make sure that they're safe when this is happening. So remember, we do have that safe learning environments that we did incorporate into our LCAP. The purpose of this was the main pieces of this was the idea of providing what we needed to do to ensure that our learning environments were going to be safe for our kids when they were coming back. Well, we've kept that. That hasn't stopped. And we don't plan on stopping that. We plan on continuously ramping it up. Right now, we've just finished off a first round of stakeholder engagement on a new plan that we're putting together, that's going to provide us with a whole nother set of what the next steps are coming from our community. And we're seeing that our community is saying that you've done a lot of the good work already. And it's just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. So in here, we've got, just to point out a couple things, signage throughout the sites. You see that all over the place. You walk. I can't walk. I know to stay as far away from Mr. Davis as possible. And I do on a continuous basis, because it's dangerous to get anywhere near him. But it's one of those things that's it's very good for us to be able to have and understand that we need to keep that space amongst each other and those pieces. Family community engagement, this is near and dear to my heart. This is something that I consistently talk about. One of the things that I truly believe that when we're doing this right, we're changing the world. We maintain our parenting partners program. That's not going anywhere. Our parenting partners will be continuing. We're using our family ambassadors, who we've up to 6 hours are continuously doing that work. That's one of their mainstays, is the work that they're going to continue to do. They're doing awesome work and making sure that that's happening. Continuing our annual UQ survey, we got to continue to consistently always listen to and feel and see what is our community saying about us? What's our community saying to us? When they talk, we have to listen, and that's one of the ways that we do it formally. But we do it all year long. We do it all year long. Every time I'm sure when the board goes to the store, I'm sure that there's somebody that comes and talks to you and says, "This is what I think about Lancaster School District," and I love it. I know that that's the case. We were also continuing to provide translation services for families. It's one of the big things that we're trying to do. We're going to expand that quite a bit because we're getting different languages. Spanish, and there's many different languages coming out in Lancaster. We have some Arabic speaking languages that are becoming very prevalent here, specifically in the Miller area. Provide for school sponsored events to include, so we're helping the schools to include math nights, reading nights, coding events. You can notice that each one of our schools has the schools that we have that have foci, such as Amargosa, where they're doing their coding events. That's a big deal because that's what brings us out to the community and shows the greatness of what Lancaster can do and what our community is about. So how is all this happening? This is all coming through. This is the last slide, promise. But this is all happening through the many different pieces, but it all focuses around the local control and accountability plan. There are 4 goals with the local control and accountability plan, and you've seen them all. Academics, it speaks back to all the work that we do. And again, it's all integrated work. No one of us is responsible for for the whole goal. We all are working on everything. But you've got our academics, you've got our focus on equity, you've got our focus on safe environments, and then you've got our focus on family and community engagement. Those 4 pieces are what drive us in every other plan that we have. So you can take any plan that we have that we have within the district, from the 8086 plan to our the plan that we're currently concocting, the ESSER 3 plan, and to our PD plans, to our CSACE plans. They all fit into this one area, into some area of the LCAP. And if it doesn't, it's something that we've thought twice about, because our goal is to stay as focused and targeted as possible in the work that we're doing. So I want to thank you for the time. If there's any questions, our team is here to answer anything and provide any answers that you might need.
I don't see any questions, Jordan. I think your team did a great job.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed Services. And I would be remiss if I didn't say and IT, because I see Sam and Rebecca staring at me. So thank you very much, Dr. Goins. Oh, there is one quick question. Yes, Mr. TP.
Is there any word on...
Mr. TP, I'm sorry, can you turn your microphone on, please? Thank you.
Is there any word on state testing this year?
So Sam can catch me if I'm wrong. Please go ahead. Actually, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Fun times. We're ready for it.
Thank you again. Move to 12B, social emotional learning student assessment.
Ed Services has a lot to say tonight, I guess. So as the board may recall, we put a major emphasis on supporting the social emotional needs of our students. We've added additional staff. We've updated our social emotional learning curriculum, and we provided district-wide professional development to kick off the year this year. But one thing we know we could improve on is a way to better assess our students' social emotional learning needs. Trish Wilson is here with us tonight, and she's been doing a lot of research over the last couple of years to what really might work out there. And so we'd like to share our plans with the board and the community tonight. So. They're getting that set up. Yeah. We just have a few slides, so it won't very long. Excellent. Turn it over to Trish. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. So like Bart said, we put a big emphasis on social emotional learning, especially this year, due to the pandemic and coming back to school after 18 months of the students not really interacting with their peers and not being used to routines and things that, you know, that they're doing all day with their peers. So, do I advance the slides or? Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So I just wanted to review what social emotional learning is. It is the process of developing self-awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills that are vital for schoolwork and life success. Social emotional learning is, we're educating the whole child. So not only are we focusing on academics in school, but we're also teaching the students how to identify their feelings, how to control their impulses, control their emotions, how to work effectively with others, and how to problem solve. Positive behavior interventions and supports is the framework in which social emotional learning lies. And one of the main principles of PBIS, or positive behavior interventions and supports, is to teach students behaviors that we want to see. So that we use that same principle when we are teaching social emotional learning skills to our students. We've got to teach them what we want them to demonstrate. So how do we teach social emotional learning? There's two different ways that we teach it in our schools. The first is through Second Step. That's a digital curriculum that we've been using for a period of about 6 years, and it's taught in every classroom every week. And the lessons are different from grade to grade. And essentially, the lessons are easy to teach and already prepared for the teachers to teach. This year we moved to a digital curriculum from, it used to be in a binder and the teachers would teach from the binder, but now it's all digital. So that means that every staff member on our campuses are able to access the curriculum and reinforce it to the students. Kelso's Choice is a conflict resolution curriculum that we use, and it's taught by the counselors in the elementary school. So there's about 9 lessons that the counselors teach each class of students. And in those lessons, they teach the students how to identify big problems and small problems, and what to do with those problems. So a big problem is a problem that they need adult help with. And a small problem is a problem that they're able to manage by themselves. And you'll see on the slide here that's the Kelso wheel. So there's 9 choices, 9 solutions that the students are able to choose from in order to solve their own problems. And those choices are practiced with the students, role played with them. Lots of examples are provided, and the students learn the different choices that they can make when they are confronted with a problem on the playground, usually in structured time during recess or lunch, and what they can do to manage that problem on their own. The counselors also work with the supervision aides and the campus supervisors so that they're talking the same language as the students in terms of what those choices are. So our district is going to be using an assessment this year called Cell Web assessments. And we're going to be doing it with 5 different schools, Paiute, Monte Vista, Sunnydale, Sierra, and Lincoln. And those schools are part of the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, or CSACE plan. And that plan was submitted to the California Department of Education to address the significantly disproportionate discipline rates of African American students with disabilities. So CellWeb is a performance-based assessment instead of a traditional survey that the students would take to self-assess their social emotional skills. So instead of taking a survey where they would mark off, like on a scale of 1 to 5, how often they use problem-solving skills or how often they get angry or whatever the question is, they're given a scenario that's on the computer, and the students solve the problems as they come up, and it actually directly assesses the students' ability to make choices and apply their social emotional learning skills. So there's 3 versions of the assessment. There's early elementary, which is K through 3, late elementary, which is 4 through 6, and then a middle school version, which is 6 through 8. We are going to use the data that we received from this assessment to plan multi-tiered instruction and interventions like classroom lessons for the counselors to address the needs of the students in the classroom, or small group lessons for students that require a little bit more support in a specific area. We're planning on evaluating the assessment benefit at the end of the year to determine if we'll use it at more schools in the future. These assessments take about 30 to 40 minutes to complete. They can be broken up into different parts if the students aren't able to complete it in one sitting. They're administered on the students' Chromebooks, and note reading is required. And the assessment is available in Spanish or English. There's a letter that will be sent home to all the parents, and that letter will provide information about the assessment and also where the parents can find additional information on our district website with videos and my contact information if they have additional questions. Although this is a great opportunity for our students, we realize that there's parents that may want to opt out of this assessment, in which case there will be an opt-out form on the letter that's sent home. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Is this going to be given to all students or just certain students? And then also, are the students still going to take the survey in addition, or are they not doing the survey anymore?
The assessment will be given to all the students at the 5 schools that I mentioned. So all the students will participate unless their parent returns the opt-out form. And there is no survey. So this is an assessment that's in lieu of like a survey sort of assessment. So it's it's an experiential sort of assessment instead of doing a survey.
And can we get a copy of the assessment?
Because it is experiential, it's, it kind of goes with the student and there isn't really something that you can just look at. But on the district website, under the Department of Pupil Safety and Attendance, there's an SEL assessments tab, and it shows videos that have sample questions on it that you can see.
We can send that link to all the board members so you can have access to that.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Trish.
Thank you very much, Trish. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Very nice presentation. Now we'll move to 12C. The SPSA presentation, starting with Amargosa Creek.
Presentation. This is actually going to start with watch one for this one. All right. Okay, so I apologize. We're going to go a little bit out of order, mainly because we want to make sure that everybody is going to be here to be able to present for different sites. But also, I wanted to bring to the board's attention that on your on the agenda, it actually says that you're going to be seeing New Vista. We had to swap New Vista and Paiute because we wanted to give Dr. DeFrancis the opportunity to present his SIPSA prior to Friday. So we wanted to make sure he had the opportunity to be able to give that to you. So I just wanted to make sure that's okay. And with that said, I'm going to bring up the wonderful West Wind Computer Science Magnet School.
All right. Good evening, board and cabinet members. Dr. Bowers, we are here this evening very excited to share with you about our SIPSA for the 21-22 school year. And hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'll understand what makes Westwind so great and what our focus is. Okay, so first we wanted to make sure that we gave credit to all of our ILT members. We have ILT members from every grade level. Our counselor is also involved. Our intervention teacher, Gary Keys, is here this evening with us. Our family ambassador, we did not have a family ambassador last year, so this is great news for us. We can take on that charge of parenting partners and make sure that we rebuild some of our PTO foundations. And then at the very bottom of that is administration, and Don Dube has joined us as our assistant principal. So we have a very huge team that's willing to and able to make this happen. All right, so our vision at Westwind, we're committed to educational excellence, empowering all students to reach their full potential. A tagline that we added on this year is providing innovative opportunities for learning. So we're going to make sure that we're scaffolding and making sure that all students get enrichment, all students get intervention, whatever their needs are at the site.
Good evening. I'm Gary Keys, and I am the intervention teacher at Westwind. I've been in the district for a long time. This has just happened this way. When I walked on campus, I felt very welcome because our theme this year was keys, and it was not intended. It just happened. At the beginning of the year, again, I'm new at the school. And I did feel extremely welcome. One thing that we've done at the very beginning, our first real staff meetings, is we were given keys from Mrs. Volknot, and they were decorated and put together with the goals that our district, now that I actually been to this, and Ms. Volknot have given us. These are some of the keys. First grade, I see, in kindergarten. Get it out. And some other ones. This one's done by third grade, and it's got math facts, closed reading, all the goals of our district.
Okay, and with that, I wanted to just give a shout out to Dr. Bowers. I know you came to our first meeting and was greeted. We actually had chocolate keys, so I hope you liked the chocolate. She wanted to pass on it, but we insisted. So we got together with our ILT team. We reviewed the data from last year, end of year, with the iReady, and also from the beginning of the year, iReady assessments. And there were holes, like everyone said prior. We knew that was going to happen. But as ILT, we dug deeper and we said, what is something that really is glaring? And one of the pieces was the reading comprehension. And so our kids were struggling across all grade levels with this piece. So for our root cause analysis, that's what we came up with, and why they didn't have all the necessary steps that they needed to be able to read. And why was that happening? Because we weren't digging deep enough into the process of it. So what are we doing? Our signature practice is going to be close reading. We want to make sure that every student understands how to dig deeper, how to mark up text, how to analyze what they're reading, so they do understand at the end of a passage or a story what the meaning of that was. We were very blessed. We currently don't have an instructional coach, but we reached out and CIA has helped us immensely. And we had our first PD for close reading. And we had the privilege of having Christy Zeno come, and she's going to be doing some follow-up practices with us. I see a lot of evidence of the close reading and the lesson plans when we're walking through the classrooms. We see that the teachers are using that, and it seems to be paying off. And these are just some of the tools for close reading. Close reading isn't for every passage, so the teachers by grade level, working with their ILT members, are making sure that they're picking appropriate passages to teach it. They're using the highlighters, colored pencils. They're using the diagnostic and specialized instructions in the toolkit of iReady. And we, again, very blessed to have our intervention teacher here. Bart Hoffman, a big shout out. He's helping us make this happen. So I really appreciate that opportunity. And then obviously the small group instruction is important. So the close reading is going to be woven between the curriculum to include our math concept development piece, our writing, and our coding. So at the beginning, the first day, we gave every teacher a set of keys, and we highlighted the big pieces, the big ticket items. Writing is a huge piece for Westwind. Math concept development and close reading. And those are all found in goal 1. And then obviously, and it was spoken about several times this evening, the SEL piece, the social emotional learning. So there's 3 dots at the top of the key. And for the beginning of the year, the teacher set a goal. So mid-year, we'll revisit that goal and see if they got to that goal. If they did, they're going to set a new goal. If they didn't, why didn't they? And what do they need to do differently to continue forward? Okay, so goal 1, the academics. We want to make sure that both we're increasing achievement in both the ELA, English Language Arts, and the math. This was a collective goal. And I look at it and I cringe because we can do a lot better than this, but it was a collective effort with ILT. We want to at least bring up to 40% at grade level or above. I'm shooting for 100, you all know that, but we're going to go where we need to and we can. And I know that Gary's going to assist us in helping us with those holes. And then in math, we were at 27. They chose 32. Again, we want to get to 100 mark, but we're going to get further than that. I know, I can feel it. All right, and I wanted to just bring in the writing piece. I know it's very critical, and if we're going to be taking CASP, even if it's a modified CASP this year, the kids are going to have to know how to write. So big shout out to Rebecca Cooksey for believing on us. She continues to support our upper grades with the My Access program, and I think it's huge. And we're not going to let you down. We're going to continue doing that. And then we decided to dig deeper with writing prompts 3 times a year. We were doing it monthly. And it was a little overboard. And so we're parsing it down and trying to go deeper with the 3 times a year. And then certainly our school focus, ready, set, code. I'm really excited, everybody who put time and effort into that, allowing us to be able to have that opportunity. It's been great for our kids. And we even did it last year. We only did it for a portion, but teachers were asked if they wanted to volunteer, and a lot of them stepped up to do that. We did actually have one virtual showcase at the end of the year. So all teachers, again, are 100% on board. And I do remember trying to sell this to Dr. Bowers early on, and she looked at me and said, "You have a veteran staff. Are you sure you want to go with this?" And we showed you with a video, there was 100% participation. And they're still really excited. And the computer scientists already started, and we're on our way. Okay, and our goal too, the equitable learning practices and positive learning environments. We are trying with our EL population to at least increase the ELA, English Language Arts, measured by the LP 5%. And we want to at least get a 5% gain in our reclassification. And I think we can do a lot better. But again, collectively, we want to make sure that they're comfortable setting their goals too. It's not a me, it's a us. And so together we worked on these goals.
Before I go on, I've had the opportunity over the past 7 weeks, I guess, to go into classrooms as a substitute teacher. And what I find...
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Keys. Thank you very much.
What I was saying is for the past 7 weeks, I've had the opportunity to go into the classrooms as a substitute teacher occasionally. And it's been a few years since I've had the opportunity to go into other classrooms. What we just went over is happening in the classrooms. Close reading, I see it in every classroom I was in. And I'm sorry I don't have all terms on the tip of my tongue, but it's happening in the classrooms. I see it in lesson plans, and I see it in the lessons that I got to teach. So I appreciated that. Our SPSA Goal 3 is for safe and supportive environments. We are doing CK Capturing Kids' Hearts, and we're implementing with PBIS. A lot of help from Miss Rust. And last year, I believe, we got the platinum, is that correct, from Capturing Kids' Hearts? Okay. Let me go on. Our average attendance last year, which was really unbelievably good, 97.23% last year during our at-home learning. Our goal number 4 is parents and community partnerships will show increased engagement of stakeholders via participation. And one of the ways we're doing that, and again, I do see this as both the intervention teacher and going into the classrooms, was through Class Dojo and the Blackboard Connect, the Marquee. We also have some, when I first came to the school, I really noticed this. We have like what I thought were cups every time I drove by it before, but they're actually little signs that are being put up all over that when you walk on, as soon as you walk on the campus, you feel more welcome. And I know my wife noticed it too, which, is outside of our school system. School website, new family ambassadors we talked about. Whoops. And the way we're monitoring is by attendance at events and youth truth survey results. I do feel welcome. I know, parents. I went to a lot of the classrooms in our open house, and the parents were engaged and they were there. It was good. Last week or a couple weeks ago now, we had our 9/11 commemoration, and there was one thing to notice on the pictures is the cars outside. So those were parents coming to the commemoration and watching it from outside. And I noticed it when I was there. It was completely surrounded, the whole school. It was neat. this is a bulletin board that we have in the school. And again, it's not because of my name, but all those keys have things that we are doing, that we are showing how we're going to make this a great year and continuing. And it's growing. It's getting bigger as different people are putting other things up.
Okay, so I thank everybody, a lot of the members in the room too, because a lot of people are just chipping in to help us when we have our lack of our coach right now. And we're just making it happen. And it does, there's a very, very rich, feel good environment. I know some of you have come over and visited us, and we're just going to keep going and doing what we're doing because we know that the kids need it. The kids love being there. I know Gary and I talked about how quiet in the cafeteria it was. He's like, I didn't even think they were serving lunch at the time. It's very organized and it's structured, and we do it and we need to do for kids, and kids are following our lead on it. All right. So any questions for us?
Thank you for the keys. Reminds me of my work in the jail, because that's pretty much looks like a jailer key right there.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jordan, is there any other change you'd like to make?
Presenting for us tonight is going to be Endeavor Middle School. Sorry. Endeavor Middle School is going to be the next school that's going to be up for us tonight. We've got about four more schools after Westwind. So Endeavor Middle School is going to be the next one moving up. And then we're going to have Paiute Middle School. And then we're going to then we're going to bring in Amargosa Creek Middle School. And I believe that'll probably clear us up.
Actually, we have Fulton and Alsbury.
I'm sorry, and Fulton and Alsbury Academy.
Yeah.
So we're going to start us off with Endeavor Middle School.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, board members, cabinet, and Superintendent Bowers. I am the proud principal of Endeavor Middle School. My name is Dr. Dee Hay. I have with me today some of our ILT members representing Endeavor. We have Danica Firth, our instructional coach, Brandon Farmer, our assistant principal, and Mary Thurston, our second assistant principal. And the other ILT members are here with us in spirit. So they're here with us. We're going to dive right in and start with the Endeavor mission and vision. And which is empowering students to strive for excellence. And so included in that excellence is excellence in academics, behavior, attendance, involvement, and making sure that our students understand that they are a critical part of the Endeavor school community. And we want them to develop to be good citizens and to understand that they're responsible for their learning and for their behavior, and that they are going to be a productive part of society. That's our goal. Up next is our Endeavor Playbook. So we have a lot of information here, but I'm going to give you highlights. So at demographics, we have about 750 students at Endeavor, and about 25% of those students are bused in daily. Our teachers are working hard on developing as a professional learning community, and that professional learning community process involves making sure that all of our decisions are data-driven. There's a lot of collaboration that's involved in that process, and we all share an understanding that all students can learn and be successful. Instructionally at Endeavor, we have the core offerings of language arts and math, but we also have tiered instructional classes for support in language arts and math as well. We have some electives, and these electives are fluid and are dependent on our student data and what our school needs as a whole. Climate and culture, simply put, we are all things PBIS. We have established clearly delineated behavior expectations for our students, and the entire staff supports a system which involves digital Raven rewards for students to earn for positive behavior. And anytime that they are demonstrating those core character pillars for pride. And we want them to also, academics are important, but our behavior is also very critical to teach our students at school. And so we want them to understand that that there are implications to their actions and that they need to be responsible for their behavior while they're at school. Unique to Endeavor is our Boost After School program. And we have a variety of offerings, and they are dependent on the teachers. Teachers create these courses, and then they are advertised to our students, and our students sign up. And these are after school offerings. They involve art, coding, careers, ballroom dancing, sewing. And again, teachers drive those courses. And we provide a Boost bus for the students because we want to make sure that all of our students have access to these after school offerings. Danica is going to talk a little bit about our signature practice.
Hello, I'm Danica Firth. I'm the instructional coach at Endeavor. Our signature practice, our team will work as an effective professional learning community. This is what we've been working toward and working on in all of our departments, all of our grade levels. If you look at this funnel here, we're moving toward that strong first instruction, but there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of prep and planning that goes into getting us there. So it starts with that teacher collaboration to support our PLC. We're meeting together regularly to plan. We have our standards-based lesson plans where we're working on our high priority standards and working on the prerequisites that are going to help all the students reach the grade level priority standards. We form as departments these common formative assessments. We use iReady data for testing. We use My Access, things that the teachers create and going to Illuminate to gather data and see where our students are at. We meet together to review the data, which then drives our interventions. Our intervention is a fluid thing where, we're revisiting that and seeing where our students are at, planning based upon that data. We make sure that based on those results, we're meeting those students' needs. It even goes as far as adjusting our master schedule, the courses that we offer, to be sure that students can have access to the support that they need in intervention and in core. And again, that drives us right down to our first instruction, strong first instruction, addressing all student needs. We focus on open-ended questions, depth of knowledge. We're trying to reach that higher level with students. And that's what we're doing in our PLC.
I always have to move down a little bit. Good evening. I'm Mary Thurston. I'm new to Endeavor this year, but excited to have the opportunity to work at the middle school and pleased with everything we've done so far. Our SIPSA goals for this year, the site goals, is that we will increase the percent of students meeting or exceeding the English language arts and math task requirements. We're doing that through implementing the PLCs and training the teachers on the standard-based instructions, working very closely with our teachers to ensure small group instruction interventions, and that we regularly meet as departments and grade levels. We're monitoring that through iReady, and one of the things we just completed was all of our students had the opportunity to be to be moved into one of our electives based on their iReady data, both for math and language arts. And I'm so thrilled that, kids have been running up going, I did so good, I got an elective. And for them to realize that it's their efforts that got them that all we did was analyze the data and move them where they should be. So I'm very proud of all of us for getting that done. The team has done a fabulous job. And then site goal number 2 is for the number, for the number of students that will be proficient in English language development. And again, getting these students reclassified before they get to high school is incredibly important for our students' opportunities. So we want to make sure that we're working both with our designated and integrated that they mentioned earlier in the presentations, both sides of it to make sure these students are getting the supports they need to access the curriculum with no encumbrances. Okay. And we're monitoring that by tracking the number of students that are reclassified.
Move it up a little. Good evening. I'm Brandon Farmer. I'm also an assistant principal at Endeavor. And I'm going to talk about the third goal and the fourth goal. So Endeavor Middle School is what we're doing is we're establishing clearly defined expectations. And we're doing that through four both staff, students, and it's not just about academics, it's also behavioral. So to implement it, we're doing assemblies. We're documenting when we have met with kids and met with people, establish the protocols to improve our school climate. So we're using the PBIS framework and the second step, as well as CKH strategies. And we're using those things as, launches and good things and those things to create that safe and positive environment. And we are explicitly teaching the kids through PBIS what we expect in each place on campus and how their behavior should be. Second step also addresses some of those issues. And the kids, we've heard already tonight that the kids get to see how to behave in certain different situations. We're monitoring it with the data analysis and student participation in our digital Ravens Reward program, where they can earn their Raven Rewards and they can buy things from our PBIS online store. And we also are checking attendance, and they're using that data from suspensions and attendance and office discipline referrals as well as ISI to continue monitoring how we're improving on that. And goal number 4 is about parents and community partnerships at Endeavor. So we're trying to increase the engagement of the stakeholders by participation in school events and in the development of the school site plan. So for our implementation, we are having weekly parent messages go out. We're updating our website constantly, and we also use social media to push out that information. We're also monitoring these events, these family school events, to see who's coming and et cetera. And we're looking at the student participation data, and also we're using the Youth Truth Survey data as well to continue monitoring that information. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you for encouraging the reclassification efforts at the school. That's very important, especially as they pass through the middle school on their way to high school.
Sure.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Endeavor.
So our next school that's going to be coming up right now is going to be Fulton and Alsbury Academy. Thank you very much. What was your name? Yeah, I think over the end. Excellent.
While we're getting started, I want to say thanks to Trish Wilson for supporting our counselors with the information they needed to share about community circles with our staff. One of our staff members decided as an alternative evaluation this year to work with community circles, both with behavioral and also with academic, using in sort of like Socratic seminars with AVID. So thanks for that. Okay, thank you. I also want to say thanks to Kim Porter for the idea about the positive office referral. I had a couple of students in the office today who'd been sent up for positive behavior. Drew and Amelia were up in my office because they had helped the teacher out and done such a great job on their own without without being asked to. And when I talked to a parent, she was really surprised by the phone call, and her reaction was, "I love the school." And I thought, I do too. Just the idea that we're supporting families and kids with positive rewards for their behavior, so much fun. So, Kim, again, thanks for that idea. All right. So I want to say thanks to our instructional leadership team. They've done so much work as a staff getting together to work on the plan. I want to say thanks to Kim Furman, who also is a adaptive PE teacher now at the Promise Academy, and to Rebecca Purcell, our former coach, who did a lot of work last year supporting our teachers. Our core values, when they embody these traits, I feel very comfortable sending them on to the next level. So our mission is to provide students with tools they need to be successful in life through a rigorous course of study in all subjects, instilling in them a love for learning and a curiosity about the world around them. Students learn to think critically and solve problems through engaging coursework in engineering and the visual arts. And our vision is pretty simple. It's making middle school fun, challenging, and awesome. And we like to stick to those things because easy to remember. And I think when a lot of us think back on our middle school years, they were awkward years. They were difficult years in a lot of cases. And the more we can make it fun for them and challenging for them, the better experience they'll have. There's a lot of text here. I'm not going to read all of it, but which is in itself a summary. And I know that Jordan has a trap door for me if I go over 10 minutes. So I'll be a little brief here. But our valley is the world headquarters for flight test. The sound barrier was broken here. The space shuttle was built 4 miles away from Fulton and Alsbury's campus. We're named for two men who worked for the company that sent the first commercial astronauts to space. And we also are in an area where there's high poverty, homelessness, where there is great need. And so we are privileged to be working in an area with such a mission. It is really a moral imperative, and we absolutely love it. Our students are chosen by lottery. And just as a review, every student has 2 content teachers, English, history, and art for one class, for one teacher, math, science, and engineering for the other. And then they have a PE teacher. We have 4 classes at each grade level. And with the 3 grades, that's 12 teachers plus the 2 PE and an instructional coach. Makes us a happy family. We have a high percentage of students who qualify for free or reduced price lunch. We have a high percentage of students who are minority, and we have a high percentage of students who are excelling academically. We are extremely proud of that. Our goal is to help students have fun learning and to get them excited about the learning. I was in Lynette Johnson's classroom last week, and she was teaching students to calculate measures of central tendency, whisker plots, and mean, median, mode, range, those things. But as Bart would agree, I think it's not about the standards. It's about teaching the standards at the level of rigor with which they're assessed. Because if we're just teaching them to calculate, they can calculate, but really what they need to know is when will they use this as a tool? When will they need to know whisker plots and what's the importance of it? And really understanding not just how to do the algorithm, but understanding the number sense behind the numbers. So in Miss Johnson's classroom, they were using Skittles. Each kid had a fun pack of Skittles, and they were counting how many red ones they had, yellow ones they had. And they didn't seem like they were doing math, but they were absolutely learning measures of central tendency, and then also what they mean through manipulating physical objects. So interquartile range started to make sense when they were talking about it in the context of objects in the real world. It is nice to know how we stand based on what others think of us. Greatschools.org is a place that parents will go as one of several sources online before they come to us. And to see that greatschools.org says about us, underserved students at this school are performing far better than other schools in the state, and the school is successfully closing the achievement gap, is something that I've shared with our teachers and have said, we're just so proud of the work that they're doing. Academic progress is very high. And when we look at our students and break down their academics by ethnicity, again, we're very proud of the work that we see there. Not that we're sharing on our own website, but this is what parents will see when they search for how students perform at Fulton and Alsbury. Our story is one of getting kids excited about school. At 7 o'clock in the morning, you can come onto our campus and you can go into the makerspace. And this morning, students were making, they were using modeling clay to build trees and giraffes and having fun making and doing and building. There's Legos, there's 3D printing. Ezra showed me his first 3D print that he made just at the end of last week, and he was super excited about 3D printing his own name. When learning is exciting like this, we've got them, because motivation is key with education. They can go in the library and read in the morning. They can read at lunchtime. And it's also about sharing best practices. So this year we, Mr. Raphael, our Makerspace wizard, and I will be sharing at the California STEAM conference about building a maker culture. Building maker. So we are super excited about sharing sort of the strategies that we use to fund the makerspace, to use the makerspace. And we want other schools who are interested in doing something like that, learning from some of our mistakes and then learning from some of the lessons learned that have caused it to be pretty successful. We also like connecting kids with their areas of passion. We really push hard the things that are going on in the community, like the library bookmark contest that Kai won. That was super exciting. Jada, I found out she wanted to become a judge. So I went over to the courthouse, went up to the 4th floor, handed a little note to the bailiff. And it took about 3 months, but she got a behind the scenes tour of a judge's chambers. And to see that picture just means a lot to me. Her mom sent it to me. Her dad passed not long ago. And for that to, we hope that we inspire kids in a million different ways. But it's a lot of fun. And Mallory on the right there finished a Harvard University course over the summer that she audited, that I encouraged all of our students to audit over the summer. So I said, have you thought about becoming a computer scientist? And she said, no, she wants to become a congresswoman. So I said, well, Steve Knight, his office sends us awards and a field representative for the 8th grade promotion awards. I bet somebody from his office could come out. And somebody from his office said that Congressman Knight was available. So it's in a lot of these little things. Different Valerie on the left here won a $500 award from the Mojave Environmental Education Consortium for her solar oven contest. This was done during COVID, so it had to be done remotely, done at home. But she made a pizza there and some soup, and her s'mores look delicious. So she actually won first place in that. Layla at the top center with me runs her own nonprofit organization, and we recognized her with the Prudential Spirit of Community Award. Kanaya wanted to do a book drive because she said she wanted to help homeless kids to have more books. Kaden Williams has a banner on Lancaster Boulevard. It's on the far west end of the boulevard. She's there in her wheelchair. She was our ASB president, and she also runs a nonprofit organization. And by supporting kids and recognizing kids, it's like a snowball of good work. So when kids see other kids doing these things, they want to do more. Salam came to my office at the end of last week and said, I want to do a book drive. What can I do? So we talked about St. Jude and maybe what we can do for that. So we called St. Jude and got a lot of things started just talking together. I talked to Deputy Clark. He's our school resource officer. And I gave him a tour of the campus, showed him a lot of things that we're doing. And he said, I wish I had this as a kid. And that's really my litmus test for how we're doing, because I love hearing that. And then listening to his story, he worked for NASA in security. So he said, how would your kids like to go to Sophia and see the flying telescope 747? And I said, I don't have a contact at NASA in Palmdale. I would love for that. And he is our contact now, getting us arrangements there. So all that to say, we are working super hard to give kids an outstanding experience. For the last few years, we've been focused on effective feedback and making sure that our teachers understand what feedback is effective based on the research of John Hattie and Cam Brooks. We've done professional development on this. We've worked hard with our students to give effective feedback and then also to listen to students' feedback as well. And our next step is to have one-on-one data chats. So our teachers are going to use some of the iReady data, the historical data, the diagnostic data, and then also the instruction data to have conversations with students regarding how they're doing and goal setting for themselves so that they can, when they take part in setting their own goals, we feel like they're more likely to achieve those. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Maybe it's the 10-minute thing. I just feel like thank you very much. So we have maintained the same goals that we had prior to COVID, which are making some pretty decent gains given the high scores that we had previously. We haven't changed those, and the reason for that is that despite the difficulty students had with grades due to lack of work completion, we did see we didn't see iReady scores fall off as teachers anticipated they might have. So we believe that with working hard with students and doing the goal setting and really a deep learning at a deep level, learning at the level of rigor, using the IEBs, the focused IEBs that are newer, the practice tests from the CASP, and really getting students comfortable with the test environment and the kinds of questions that are asked, that they should succeed on those. As Dwayne said, reclassification of language learners before high school is extremely important. That has an impact, a huge impact on the classes they're able to take. We also want our students to know in high school what opportunities are available there through the academies and through the coursework, whether they take Algebra 1 or Geometry / Algebra 2, depending on which high school they're heading to. And I'll talk about Youth Truth on the next slide as well. All of our teachers are using the Second Step program, and there's a big focus on the social emotional learning, and the community circles was a big piece of that as well. Small group instruction is also a big deal, knowing where our students are at, understanding levels of mastery, and then our Youth Truth survey data. This is the student survey from February 2021, which showing a little dip in engagement from where we were before. So maybe that's to be expected since we were in distance learning at that time. But we saw that academic challenge, relationships, culture especially stayed very high. Belonging and peer collaboration is a focus for us for this year. We also saw from the family survey, this is parents now, that engagement was a little bit lower, still pretty high according to national rankings. Relationships, again, a little lower than it had been, but culture, communication, feedback, very high. Resources and school safety, very high. All right, and this should say climate instead of culture there. But through belonging and peer collaboration, we want to have our kids work together. A lot of the work that we do is done collaboratively. Very little is done individually as students. And then family community partnerships are super important to maintain. We're reconnecting with a lot of the folks that we had relationships with before, trying to get our teachers back to space camp in Huntsville, trying to set up field trips so that once they're able to be approved, we're sort of at that step where we could, we have all our ducks in a row. So we want to do all the planning now for that. And I did have to stick a slide in there of Zaire, our student who is now in the NBA. We don't know what our students will become. They're not all going to become engineers, but we want them thinking critically. We want them to have integrity. We want them to think of others before themselves. We want them to focus on excellence. So if we do that, wherever they end up, we'll be pleased. So thank you. Any questions?
I don't see any questions, but thank you very, very much, Dr. Beller.
Right.
It's always good to see the involvement by your students. And I know Ms. Reynolds in the robotics group is still involved. And it's always great when they come to the tournaments on a Saturday without a bus. They just show up because they want to be there. So those are the activities I really like from your school. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We've got a strong robotics science Olympiad, and for curriculum highlights, we're going to have our new our new environmental club share with you as well. Thank you.
Good.
Great job. Thank you very much, Dr. Glasselter.
Okay, we're getting there. So our next school that's going to be bringing up is going to be Paiute Middle School. Dr. DeFrancis. My fault. Paiute.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. So I'm Dr. DeFrancis, or Mr. Doctor, as some of the students say, and also Dr. Goins. The principal at Paiute Middle School for at least a couple of more days, but I'm a proud principal of the Warriors for the last 3 years. With me, I have my two extraordinary assistant principals as Dr. Kelly and also Miss DePasquale. They'll be presenting along with me. This first picture, I really like this picture. It was actually, I think, the second year I was there. It's of the band. One thing that is awesome, if we get back to some sort of normalcy, is I invite you to come out to see some of the basketball games. Mr. Adriano puts on a really good halftime show with our band. So our ILT team, I'm big on collaboration and also involvement of all the teachers. I wanted representation from all the grade levels. I probably went a little bit overboard, and I know that Bart was trying to wrangle me back some. But for sixth grade, Mrs. Knight, Mrs. Moore in seventh grade, she also does our avid chair. Miss Parcell, she just joined our team with a lot of praise. So I wanted to make sure that she was in on it. Miss Ryder, she's been there. She's a veteran. She knows her stuff inside and out. Mrs. Topper, sped extraordinaire. Mr. Williamson, very passionate in everything that he does. And then also our instructional coach, Dr. Haynes. So the vision of Paiute Middle School. So together with community stakeholders, we at Paiute Middle School are focused on preparing students for college and career. We admit to inspire and empower students to excel both academically and socially while preparing them to be productive citizens and future leaders. Paiute strives to provide a nurturing and safe environment that fosters a rigorous academic technological curriculum to prepare students to become lifelong learners. The reason why I'm reading the visual and the vision and mission statements to you is we actually had a collaborative time, the ILT time, where we hashed this out, and it actually went into like 2 different meetings, and it went on for quite some time as to what language we would use, because everything is linguistics, things that we wanted to take out and things that we just had to make sure were in. The mission of Paiute. So we facilitate the faculty and staff at Paiute Middle School believe that all students can achieve. And how do we do that? Safe and orderly campus for all students. Curriculum that aligns with the California state standards. Daily instruction to meet individual student needs. When we get into MTSS, meeting the needs socially with the SEL and the emotional piece. Also developing relationships. That's something that's huge on the Paiute campus with our students. And then programs and activities that enhance behavior achievement. So the story of Paiute. Now, I don't have any great pictures. I should have did that, like Fulton and Alsbury. Thank you for those. That were awesome, actually. But Paiute has come a long way. And I'm not going to bore you with the origins of Paiute, but I did actually fall down that wormhole last year and the year before, finding the name and then reaching out to some elders in the tribes, which was a very interesting path. One thing that we hold true as a warrior, though, is that we can create options in excellence. for our students. Every student can learn. There are, a lot of students that are challenging, but all the staff have the same mindset to remain positive and to stay in that positive direction. We've had a lot of positive momentum going into what started COVID. Coming out of it, we're facing our challenges. I have all the faith in the staff and in the students that we will continue on that path and get back to in the direction that we were headed. So root cause analysis. I believe Mr. Hoffman, the whole team allowed us to do a root cause analysis. And there's the breakdown for you. I'm not going to get into every last detail. I did want to kind of show you the scattered notes that is getting into the brain of maybe Dr. DeFrancis for a little bit, as chaotic as it may be, along with the team. You can see, some squiggly lines and kind of heading out to where we were. But really just kind of breaking down the belief structures, the possibilities, or the possible responses to things. And it really focuses around relationships with students through capturing kids' hearts. Something that we've done that no other site has done is we've actually getting all of our staff or all of our teachers trained in Milo. They're all on board for that. And that's something that I actually was exposed to for a short period of time. I actually didn't take the training, but what I heard, I liked. I drank the Kool-Aid, as they would say, and I wanted others to get on board with that. So that social emotional piece, moving into, the 4 questions to 5 questions with students, because there's an accountability piece, but the capturing kids' hearts of building a relationship with students, it falls into the staff. And later when my assistant principal speak, we'll talk a little bit about youth truth data and how the fruit from that actually came true and to fruition. Signature practices, I wanted to kind of break it down. How did we get to these signature practices from the years past? Bell ringers, small group instruction, and then the 5 questions. And how do we have those 3 signature practices? As you can see, the bullet points underneath them support those signature practices. So it's not just something that fell into our laps, but something that we have kind of been building throughout the years. Previously, we had scholar starters, grade tier 1 instruction, and then also sentence frames. Well, we've accomplished those goals and we wanted to move forward. So we want to challenge ourselves with the next strategy there, which would be bell ringers. Small group instruction, we actually were able to accomplish this during COVID times where we were all online instruction. And I think that actually was a benefit to us, being able to break down data in iReady and make those small groups and then use breakout rooms. So it was much more almost simplified when we got back to the classroom. We knew exactly what we needed to do with certain students and how many students we needed to have in our tiered classes to make sure that those things would mirror itself from a virtual world to an actual world. The 5 questions with the capturing kids' hearts, something that I make sure that I model for the staff constantly when we have meetings. It's a little bit more challenging now because we moved back to virtual. Of course, I like a good in-person meeting. You can actually get a feel for the room, understand the emotions, and can't shake hands, but at least you can make some sort of eye contact. The community circles is something new, is a new ripple from PSA. And we've actually been exploring that too with our good things, using that at the very beginning of class. I was able to walk classrooms and see that, which is interesting to see a group of 8th graders that are too tough sit in a circle and start discussing things. I didn't see anybody break through and cry, but at the same time, it was very interesting to see that happening in front of my eyes. And then just the small things in capturing kids' hearts that makes it that staple, which is the greeting, the Excel model, and then also the launch, sending you off in the right direction. How we get to 5 questions, though, 4 questions is really just what are you doing in accountability to what you're doing in the behavior wise. The 5th question is what's a consequence? It's an appropriate consequence for the student to own. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. J.
Excuse me, before you go, can you explain a little bit more about the Milo program?
Oh, sure. So Milo is, and I didn't know this, but when I reached out to the founders, was only a year old when I was jumping on board. And it's, I don't want to say coming to Jesus type talk, but it's coming to face some cultural changes and differences in different cultures. So if you're looking at the teaching profession, it's not uncommon to see that it's 80% Caucasian middle class. If you walk onto the Paiute campus, you're looking at low socioeconomic. I have about 65% Hispanic, 35% African American, and I love to say a sprinkle of Caucasian. That dynamic alone, there are going to be some cultural differences. There's going to be some misunderstandings on way people talk to each other, misunderstandings on what is acceptable behavior to one another. And also even in the community, Milo kind of breaks down those barriers and has a real talk, or they say, I believe is tell your truth. And even this first week, as we started it last week, there was some level of conversations that you don't have at the water cooler. And it'll push people to grow. And every teacher on site, that are actively participating, they like it. They're into it. They're buying in. Will there be courageous conversation? Yes. But at the end of it, I think that the staff will grow a lot stronger, understanding where they're from. Just to give you an example, I had a teacher last week say that I didn't even know she was Swedish, and that it was not common for her. She had to be married and she needed to work in the home, and that's something that she didn't believe in, and that she's a strong woman. And I thought that was very empowering to hear that for other teachers. Very empowering to even hear that, because I didn't know she was fluent in that language. So you're learning a lot more about people and just different cultures that really help out. And that was the intriguing part to me too, is when I heard feedback from the Milo training, I really wanted to know more about it.
I'd love the website for that so I can look into it a little bit more.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. I guess I can say good evening. So I'm going to talk about our one of our site goals. I'll talk about actually the first two, and I hope everyone can hear me. So our first site goal entails academic options and excellence, where every student will demonstrate continuous growth toward mastery of common California core state standards as measured by a variety of assessments. And our implementation of the strategy will be monitored through walkthrough rubrics, the presence of lesson plans in every classroom, looking at the data from our iReady assessments and the usage of iReady, our IL team collaborations, the data that we pull from that, our administration site coach and district visit, and our monthly coach and administration PLC. Okay. And then our site goal number 2 is under culture, equitable learning practices, and positive learning environments. We will provide the necessary resources and supports to create and maintain positive learning environments to eliminate barriers to success for all students. Our implementation of the strategy will be monitored by walkthrough rubrics, our CAST and LPAC scores, administration site coach and district visits, our suspension records, and our chronic absenteeism information. Okay, and for our cycle number 3, it's around climate, having a safe and supportive environment. We provide safe, secure, equitable, and operationally efficient environments at all facilities for students, staff, and community members. We implement this strategy by walkthrough rubrics, PBIS safety survey, administration, site coach, and district visits, and faculty's review, such as Williams. And then finally, cycle number 4, engagement, family and community engagement. We will build positive partnerships with families and the community by increasing participation and active involvement on campuses and at site and district events. We implement this strategy with parent sign-in sheets, website or social media, PTO memberships, Connect Ed, frequent calls and communication to parents,
Increase the family after school meetings, which we are doing digitally with much success. Number of parents attending school sponsored events, and our Youth Truth Survey. Our engagement grew across all of our categories this year. Our staff did a really good job of connecting with our families this year.
Any questions? Thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wynn, your microphone so he can hear you.
I didn't hear you.
Your microphone.
Oh, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you for your time at Paiute. And especially for the fact that this year, we as a board, I'd have to say, have not heard anything that would say Paiute was a school with problems. And you know what? All the time you've been there, and before you, Mike Davis, you've been great leaders and have taken that school a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that. We have our share of problems, but we have a great team and a great staff, and we fight the good fight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paiute. And I'm going to add, you have great kids over there. I was a Paiute warrior, so once a warrior, always a warrior. Great kids over there.
Okay, so last group for the evening. This is going to be Amargosa Creek. They are here, they are excited, and they are ready to go. So Amargosa Creek.
Thank you. Good evening, board and executive cabinet and Dr. Bowers. I want to thank Jordan for letting us go a little bit later. Mr. Lopez was covering our band concert at the school, so we wanted to make sure he was able to make it back in time. Welcome to Amargosa Creek's 20-year grand reopening celebration. We're kind of unique as we don't get all of our students every year. About half of the school is new, and due to COVID, we have about 95 that have actually been on campus. So we're celebrating a complete grand reopening. I have Mr. Lopez with me and Robin Webb, our two assistant principals. I'm Rochelle Poulos. I'm the very proud principal at Amargosa Creek. We have our Cougar ILT with us there. They're here, like Dr. DeHay said, in spirit with us, but we wanted to make sure that they were acknowledged. Good evening. We'll start with our mission and vision statement. Amargosa Creek's mission is to inspire all students to think critically, to communicate effectively, to collaborate meaningfully, and to be creative within a safe and comprehensive campus where all students will become college and career ready. Our vision statement, you can see our Wordle here. Students will develop 21st century skills to become productive citizens. And you can see all these words in here, critical thinking, communicating, cultural awareness, media literacy, technology literacy, and many others. These are the words that were agreed upon that would be the most important in those 21st century skills.
Good evening. My name is George Lopez. So this year is our 20th year grand reopening, and we're hitting the reset button. As Ms. Poulos said earlier, we have about 95 students of our 915 that have been on campus. What that means is we're doing a lot of reteaching to a lot of students. We have 23 different electives. Including we have 0 period PE for all, including SDC students and resource students. Our focus is our PLCs, PBIS, capturing kids' heart, small group instruction, and goal setting that students can speak to. And we're working on social skills to assist our students with an educational path.
So as Mr. Lopez mentioned, one of our signature practices is goal setting learners, and the kids can really speak to it. It was a very big deal when we started it pre-COVID. And right before we left, we did about 300 schedule changes due to the goal setting. We feel that when the students take the I-Ready test for both math and language arts, and then they fill out a goal sheet that says, hey, here's where I'm at. They sit down with their teachers, they create goals and next steps to obtain that goal. And then they meet with the teacher regularly about once every 2 weeks to make adjustments as they are seeing their data come in from their testing and all of the things that they're doing. And then when they test at the quarter, they're able to move up out of tiers and to move up into electives. So we just finished all the schedule changes about a week and a half ago. And then the quarter will end here right at the beginning of October, and we'll retest and we'll be able to see that movement into hopefully a lot of electives. And then our first site goal is evidence-based learning. The goal is to increase our math and our language arts scores with a focus on learning intentions, learning progressions, success criteria, and teacher clarity. The staff has been really working on small groups in both the core and in the intervention and support classes, so that it's not just when the small groups are occurring in those intervention classes. We want to make sure that during core it's also going on. We had about 21% on grade level for English language arts school-wide and about 8% in math. So that small group is going to be a big focus this year, especially in our math classes.
And our second goal is on culture. Increase English language development by at least 1.5%. And safe collaborative relationship with students, staff, and community using youth troop survey. Increase access in PBIS, mental health services, and collaborative relationships. Increase students feel like that the teachers understand who they are. From currently we're about 20% to about 25%. Staff students feeling part of the community from 33% to 40%. Staff students will work to ensure that respect is part of our culture. So we go back to the reset button where we have a lot of kids who have never been on campus and we're teaching them all over again. And they're a little bit behind. So my 8th graders act like 6th graders, 7th graders act like 5th. My 6th graders act like 4th graders. So we're still doing a lot of reteaching. Staff will use information during PLCs to go ahead and plan instructions to make a better day and to make relationships with our students.
Site goal number 3, climate. Attendance rate. As a school, we will increase our attendance by 0.1%. Target 3B, I'm sorry, I lost my place for a minute. Amargosa will see a decrease in discipline referrals through using our Capturing Kids' Hearts through PBIS, through the work that is done in our PLCs, and through other engagement strategies. And we will monitor this through using our walkthrough data that's collected by admin and cabinet members, and through our ILT members, and of course through Swiss data. And suspension and attendance data, as well as we will also use professional development and the youth truth surveys.
And site goal number 4, engagement, family community partnership. So students are struggling with social emotional learning and awareness. And what we want to do is we will increase partnership communication via technology, notification systems, social media, school website, Power School app, and Facebook page. Provide and coordinate parent workshops, parent-student university, counselor coffee corner to support achievement and parent contact. This will be monitored by the ILT team, leadership, district leadership, admin, multi support system, PBIS, and youth truth.
So in conclusion, like Mr. Lopez said, it's a reset button. A lot of our students haven't been on campus. They didn't know how to walk on campus. They didn't even know where to enter. They don't know how to walk in the hallways, where to go. They've seen the staff, but they were about 1 inch by 1 inch. So they don't even recognize any of the staff. Usually we use a lot of our leadership kids to kind of help with, moving around campus, and they wear shirts and they have flags, and we didn't even have that because they haven't even been on campus. So it's kind of been a new learning curve for us, especially with zero period and them being on campus at 7 a.m. and having to get them awake and get them moving. But they're doing a great job. It seems to be moving. People now know where to go because our school isn't numbered in a real organized way. You turn at 127 and you turn around and 105 is behind you. So it was kind of confusing for the first couple of weeks, but I think they've got it down now. But they're being really successful. So thank you. Did you have any questions for any of us? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question. This is kind of also for Paiute too. Are they doing band right now? And I was just wondering. Okay.
Ours are outside. We've set up pop-ups in the parking lots and in the quad. Or they're out in the front lawn because chamber is pretty small. There's about 15 in there, maybe 16. So they've been out on the front lawn serenading the whole street there on 27. Some of the people were coming out and sitting on their lawn chairs the other day. It was pretty funny. Or they're out playing during lunches in the quad. The concert tonight, Mr. Lewis was very good. He had them spaced 8 feet apart. He had a seating chart. He had that all knocked out. There was quite a few there. It was I have pictures he was sending me as it was going on. I know your daughter was playing there too.
I saw the pictures already.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, ours are playing, but they're outdoors. So.
Oh, okay, great. I was wondering how they're doing that with the COVID. So glad they're able to do that.
Me too.
It looked like they were having a good time.
They did have a really good time. I had parents and staff and Mr. Lewis and everybody was sending me text messages. So it was really successful. It was about a half an hour. He had it cleaned up in 8 minutes. He was very, very impressed that he had it done in 8 minutes. He was 2 minutes ahead of schedule so that Mr. Lopez could make it back over here in time. So it was good. Are there any other questions?
No, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And yeah, the band concerts, those are great.
They are.
Those were great.
Yeah.
Sorry we missed it.
That's okay. We'll have it. We'll have another one going. It'll be a little bit earlier because it's getting kind of dark at the time frame. So we'll have to back it up a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much. That concludes our presentations this evening.
Great presentations. Thank you.
Kind of curious why they numbered Amargosa Creek so weird, but that's another day. We had a different superintendent then.
We'll move on to addressing the board. Board members will be utilizing electronic devices during this meeting to access the online agenda, and an electronic device may be used to record this meeting. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it to the superintendent secretary. The board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once that item has been moved, seconded, and on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person or 20 minutes per item will be allowed. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda. We'll ask for comments from PTA.
No comments this evening.
CSEA.
We do not have any requests to comment this evening.
Thank you. TAL.
I have not received any requests for anyone to comment this evening from TAL.
Thank you. Comments from the audience?
I do have one request for comment from the audience. The speaker is not here this evening and requested that I read this for the board. This comment is from Laura Giles, and it reads as follows. Dear Lancaster School Board of Trustees, good evening. I'm not able to attend the board meeting tonight because my daughter Brianna has a band concert at Amargosa Creek. I am writing this letter to again ask the board to make a motion for a resolution of healthy children on the agenda. I understand that the district must follow LA County Health Officer orders. I am asking the board to adopt a healthy children's resolution, which I've submitted several times, and send this resolution to the LA County Board of Health and the California Department of Health. I have heard it said that it's inconvenient for children to have to wear masks. This is a gross understatement. Masks are inconvenient for adults to wear. Masking children is not inconvenient. It is harmful and unhealthy. Furthermore, there is no science or data showing that the masking of children in schools prevents COVID-19 transmission. There have been several studies showing that it is unhealthy and harmful for children to wear masks for long periods of time. There have also been several studies done that compare schools where children wear masks and where children do not wear masks, and the difference in COVID cases is negligible. There have also been several studies that show the children attending school does not contribute to the community transmission of COVID-19. Even the LA County Health Officer states in her media report on September 20, 2021, that the rate of transmission in schools is very low, and that case rates for children of all ages over the last 3 weeks has declined 40%. Our LA County COVID-19 case numbers have been consistently lower every week since school has started. Our transmission rate is now 1.2%. California is no longer considered in high transmission according to the federal government. Yet restrictions seem to be increasing. I am now told that my children have to sit at a number on the cafeteria bench to eat their lunch, after having been in school eating lunch without restrictions for almost 7 weeks. Can someone please point me to the data that shows transmission while eating lunch? We can go in a restaurant, take off mask, and eat without contact tracing. Why are we trying to contact trace in the cafeteria? Can you point to the data that shows COVID spreads in school cafeterias, but not in restaurants? Speaking of contact tracing, why are you continuing to interrupt another year of our children's education? My understanding of the quarantine guidelines are that any child within 6 feet of the child who is suspected of being COVID positive must quarantine for 10 days if unvaccinated. Children are allowed to take off their mask outside and play with many children without contact tracing, but because they sit at a desk with a mask on and plexiglass around their desk, the child to the right and the left of them within 6 feet has to be quarantined. While the children that they were within 6 feet of at recess don't have to be quarantined. Meanwhile, in band classes, the students have to wear masks. While attending an outdoor band concert, parents must wear masks outdoors. Does this make sense to you? I would also like to know what data parents being restricted from access to schools is based on. Back to school night was held virtually based on what data? Parent-teacher conferences are coming up, and I truly hope that we, parents, are allowed to have face-to-face meetings with our children's teachers. If this is going to be held virtually as well, I would like to know the data that this decision is being based on. Please, as our elected representatives, take action. Contact the health offices of LA County and the state of California with letters of your concern for the health of our children. Make a motion to put on the agenda discussion for a healthy children's resolution. Thank you, Laura Giles. That completes the statement. We have no additional requests for comments this evening.
Thank you. Healthy child resolution. Is that what she asked for?
Yes, it is. And was some additional information that was provided that was forwarded to you in an email, but that samples of that resolution have been provided in the past to all of the board members. So you do have some samples, but we're happy to resend information out to you. And I'm happy to place it on the board agenda for discussion, that resolution upon the board's direction.
Well, we have had quite a few speakers over the course of the last couple of months. And some of them have very, very good reasoning behind what they're saying.
I'm sorry, your microphone.
Okay, I'll
Thank
speak
you.
closer. And I'm just wondering if the board would be interested in having the resolution put on the agenda for our next meeting. And if that's the board majority ruling, then I would ask Michelle to do that. So could we have a show of hands of those that would like to see it on the agenda?
Do you want it on as an action item or would you like it on as a discussion item?
Board?
It's up to you guys, but I'd put it as an action item. We can either vote it up, yes, or vote it no. At least we'll have something to send forward or not. At least they'll know where we stand. And I understand we talk with the lawyer and all that stuff, and I think she understands that too. But I think the county doesn't understand where we're at as well. And I don't think the county cares, but I think at least if we had a resolution showing that we care about our kids and we're trying to fight for them, at least they can look at that. And we're elected officials, so that does have a little bit of play, or a little bit of,
And there is a meeting on, I believe it's a Zoom meeting on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. that Dr. Farrar will be the moderator. And it gives each one of us the opportunity to go online to that Zoom meeting and express our opinions to her also. Because that's who we're receiving our instruction from, if I'm not mistaken.
The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health is a primary agency that informs the reopening protocol that we have to abide by, yes.
So I would urge those that wish to contact or to participate in that Zoom meeting Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, look into that. And if necessary. Otherwise, Michelle, I would ask that it be put on as an action item and the board can take action on it.
I will put it on as an individual action item, and then there's opportunity for discussion and or any modifications. And if there are modifications that need to be made prior to approval, it can be tabled and we can bring it back.
Agreed.
And I don't know if you can have the attorney look at it maybe ahead of time and find out what they think about that as well, what ramifications were. I mean, if you can.
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
Moving on then to number 14. This is a public hearing for the sufficiency of instructional materials. We'll open the meeting at 8:44.
And we do have an update for you, and Krista has made her way to the podium to share information. Thank you, Krista. I'm sorry, Krista, is the microphone on? Can we just double check? Thank you.
Try that again.
There we go.
Okay, so good evening once again. A quick update for you and a little bit of context about where we stand with our annual Williams update and resolution for sufficiency of materials. So as you all know, our Williams visit every year is based on 2004 legislation that requires us to have equal access for all students to their instructional materials, standards aligned instructional materials. We have LACO, who is our accountability arm, usually come visits us every year in August to verify that we do have sufficiency. And they are making sure that we have the core materials for English language arts, ELD, history, math, and science, as well as foreign language and health where it applies. They visit 14 schools. We have 14 schools in our district that qualify for the Williams visits based on, and this is the fun part, based on their low performing status as API schools way back from 2013. So that was really the last time that we had the API scores, and that's the criteria for the school selection. So it's taken some time for them to update that policy. You'll see next year that that status will change a little bit, but these 14 schools have been on this list for the last 8 years at this point. So we should have a different list or an adjusted list next year with all of that said. So how do we ensure that they are sufficient with all of their materials? First of all, we survey our teachers to make sure that they know their students, they know if they've received the textbooks that they need, or the devices, the technical devices that they need. And so we survey them. If they tell us, no, we don't, I've got 6 students who don't have their materials, then we do the curriculum shuffle and make sure that they get what they need. Once all the teachers have been confirmed that they have all the materials that they need for their students, principals verify that with a signature as well. So then LACO would come visit us and visit those 14 schools to walk sample classrooms and make sure that that is actually true, that we're not lying through our teeth, and we are not. And so they check to make sure that we've got everything that we need. I want to make it clear that access to instructional materials includes not only our physical textbooks for the core subjects, but also, and thank you to Rebecca Cooksey, Brandon Weber in our ITS department, the digital devices, so laptops. If students have a school issued device at home, or if they have access to a digital device at school, that is also considered access to our instructional materials because all of our curriculum is digital. So that has given us a lot of flexibility in the last couple of years as well with our instructional materials. So then we come to you within 8 weeks of the start of school to have the public hearing, and the board resolution to certify sufficiency must be completed by the 8th week of school. However, this year was a little bit different. We didn't get to have our LACO visit come to verify because just like us, they are suffering with a lack of personnel. However, we were just notified this week that they will be coming to visit us. But what they did tell us is, in lieu of the visit and without that visit to verify, we could go ahead and self-certify if we found that we did have sufficiency of materials. So I am very, very pleased that after the survey process and the verification and the curriculum shuffle, I'm very pleased to inform you that we do self-certify. We are sufficient in our materials. And before we go on with that actual action item, I do want to send a couple thanks to Stephanie Monroe, my secretary, Sheriff Snyder, the Ed Services secretary, and all of our site staff, administrators, coaches, secretaries, CPSs, and librarians, and our teachers. They've been faced with some extraordinary challenges at the beginning of this year, and Williams is one more thing that they had to do, but I really appreciate their time and effort in making sure that this was able to be accomplished. So there we are. Any questions?
Good job. Thank you, Krista. Very good explanation. So the public hearing can close at 8:47. And we'll move on to number 16, which is an adoption of that resolution to certify sufficient pupil textbook instruction materials.
So moved.
Motion.
So moved. Second.
Moved by
Second.
Giles, second by Greg Teepee. Now, is there any other discussion regarding the resolution?
There are no additional comments unless the board has any questions regarding this matter.
Krista, did you say when they would be here?
No. They told us within the next 2 weeks. We are waiting to hear on the specific date.
Very good. Well, I have a feeling we've done so well with Williams over the past few years without any findings that your group will keep that going. Thank you. Let's have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 No nays. Vote passes 4-0. Number 16B, approval of agreement with Sports for Learning Coast to Coast Coaching, Inc. Motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Pepe, second by Ms. Groves.
This is
Who wants to take this question?
I will take it.
Thank you.
All right. So at the end of the year, board may recall that Ed Services brought our AB 86 plan to board for approval. And one of the items that we were so excited about was this one about the Sports for Learning, because we saw how there was a dual benefit for our staff and our students, especially around the area of physical fitness, social emotional learning for the students, both during the day and after school. And then also providing our teachers with the ability to have embedded collaboration time during that. So Dr. Goins has done a lot of work to put this together. So I've asked if he would share a little bit deeper with that. So Dr. Goins.
Yeah, so yes, we're very excited about this particular program, and I think that this is going to have an opportunity to do some really good things in our district and providing our teachers with time to be able to do the work that they need to do. So Lancaster School District, or the district office, we're extremely pleased to provide Sports for Learning for the consideration of the board. Sports for Learning is a program that imparts a culture of empowerment through engagement, providing for an improvement of culture, climate, access to social emotional learning, and those skills for our students and those things that our students truly do need in order to be able to be more successful through the access to sports and giving them the opportunity to really be able to learn those things that we learned playing baseball, football, basketball. I'm not going to say football, but baseball, soccer, and all of these other awesome sports, tennis. Sports that we had access to as children. They have based their curriculum for physical education around the PE standards and address the social emotional needs for students while implementing a structured physical education program that for our purposes will stretch into the after school realm. So our teachers or our students will actually have the opportunity to be able to have an after school sports program at the elementary levels. The coaches, we call the people that work for Sports for Learning coaches. These coaches are recruited from our local colleges. They're trained by the company. They're evaluated by the company to a high standard. They work with our students, and this means that there is a high level of security in terms of student safety. And on top of that, they act as mentors for our kids. It's that one piece that's that intangible piece of having that one-to-one communication that is in that one-to-one relationship that again provides for a kid to be able to be just to have a little bit extra. The implementation of this program during the day will provide our teachers with the time needed to meet in structured collaborative teams. You've heard the term PLCs thrown out a lot tonight, and you've heard it in almost every school plan that we've provided to you. This is going to be an opportunity to take those collaborative teams to the next level by providing them on a consistent basis on a weekly basis. We're recommending that this program be implemented in 12 of our 14 elementary school campuses, and will provide for one full day of PE instruction per campus. 4 coaches will be provided for each site. So we're going to have 4 coaches per site, which would match about the number of teachers we may have at a grade level or not, a little over. While this is going to release teachers for structured collaboration, allowing teachers to meet for anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the school and the times and the amount of grade levels that it goes down to. We suggested a 2 through 5 or 2 to 6 grade level structure, but some of our schools have said, they've said, Dr. Goins, we want to take this down to kindergarten if possible. Who am I to say no? To be able to provide for collaboration at the kindergarten level so our students can have that extra added at that grade level. Our teachers are going to be able to collaborate around the 4 main essential questions of PLCs that focus around what are we going to teach, How do we know that they're going to get it or that they've got it? What are we doing when they don't get it? And what are we going to do when they do get it? So they're going to have that opportunity to have those conversations together on a consistent basis, weekly basis. This allows for an expansion of our collaborative grade level teams to do the work of analyzing student achievement in both academics and behavior. We believe that the experts are true, or that the experts, if we do as a district, believe that the experts are truly in the classrooms. They're the people that know what to do, and what we can give them through this program is time to make that happen through the collaborative teams and the collaboration that they do amongst each other. So we are looking forward to seeing what the great things that this program can bring to our kids. We know that it's going to enhance our program. Thank you. Sir.
So I had a question. Is that going to be during school and after school?
Yes. We're looking at both. What I provided as under contract is for both during the school day. So they'll be at the school site, or they'll be at a school site for a day, and they will be during that full day. They'll be releasing grade levels 1 hour at a time, 30 to 60 minutes at a time.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
And no, it's okay.
With none, thank you very much, Dr. Goins and Mr. Hoffman.
Thank you.
I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none, vote passes 4-0. Item 16, individual action items of human resource. 16A, need a motion for the approval of a renewal. Sorry,
That's what happens when you keep us late.
Yeah. Renewal contract for Lexi Conti as deputy superintendent. That would be effective until July 1st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Giles, second by Ms. Grooms. Is there any discussion? Do you want to do a dance, Lexi?
Not yet.
All right. I think there's a reason to ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, with pleasure.
Vote passes 4-0. Now looking for 16B, approval of renewal contract for Ms. Rebecca Cooksey as Assistant Superintendent, Innovation and Technology Services.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Diane Groom, second by Greg TP. Any conversation, discussion?
No dancing for either one of them.
Not a single dance.
I think they're too tired after the past year to dance.
All right, with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye, with pleasure.
No negative, no nays. Vote passes 4-0.
Apparently, as president, I forgot to sign their contracts last time. So a couple of them I had to go sign. I won't go whether it's president 2 or 3 years ago. But hey, apparently they're still working, so it didn't matter that much.
All right. We're looking now to number 17, consent agenda items. 17A through 17D. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Ms. Grooms. Is there any discussion?
Good stuff.
The school administrator. Who is that exactly, Michelle?
That actually encompasses all of our administrators. So there, as you know, we have Teacher Appreciation Day and Classified Appreciation Day. The week of, and I say day, but it's a week celebration for each of those groups, as well as confidential nurses, psychologists. The week of the school administrator, for some reason, was moved from the spring to the fall. So it's now in October, and that's when we have an opportunity to celebrate all of our administrators.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, the other two proclamations, character counts, very important, and it's for a whole month, as with the adoption of proclamation for school safety, also for a month. Very good. With that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Say nay if you're against. Hearing none, vote passes 4-0. Here's a long one. It's item 18. Business consent agenda items 18A through 18H. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Teepee, second by Ms. Grooms. Is there any comment? Yes. I hear nothing. With that, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays, vote passes 4-0. Number 19, consent agenda item for educational services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Groom, second by Mr. Giles. Is there any discussion? All right, I have to ask about Moondrop.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Moondrop too, but go ahead.
That's a good name.
I would have thought you might ask about Moondrop. So you saw a lot tonight about every school shared that they had for their English learners a language goal that they wanted to address. And so this is certainly one area that we feel that we could provide additional resources on. So Moondrop actually has this drop for school, which, because we're using technology a lot with our Google Slides and our Google Classroom, that this is an add-on that will help teachers and students alike to be able to do better with their language scaffolding and provide graphic organizers in an engaging way for the English learners. So it just helps to build language supports for the students, and it helps the teachers for all students then to provide higher level scaffolded questions so the kids can have questions to respond to or to work with one another on. And Dr. Goins, it's a passion of his, so he's on the podium in case you want to add a few more things to that, Dr. Goins.
Ditto. Very much so.
It's the same as and that's not the same. It's the same effort we're trying to put into the other item from Lexia English, just to continue to provide more supports for our English learners. We have a lot of things for learning content, but language scaffolds and language supports, we find that we can do better with that. So these are tools that will help the teachers and the students alike.
Is it used with PowerPoint or Google Classroom, or how's that used with?
So it's going to be used with Google Slides. It's with the Google platform that we're already using, which is another added piece to this, in the fact that we're already using a lot of the technology that starts this off, and it's kind of our jumping off point. Also provides for integrated designs and abilities to be able to scaffold and bring content from outside of just the language. Well, it's definitely all language development, but also provides for like artistic, non-linguistic representations, art pieces to be able to be thrown into this to assist with language learning. That's one of the pieces that focuses around building languages by having those visuals.
What I liked is they have a really great video that shows how the teacher uses it, how the students use it, and how the parents at home can all benefit, because we've been a year now using devices. This is a great way to communicate to the parent, to the kid, and to the teacher with these digital tools that make it really engaging with Google Slides, which we already are using. So it's a way to enhance what we're already using.
And is it available to the whole district?
Yes.
Okay, great. Every student plus an extra.
Thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge that the school plans for the schools that presented at our last board meeting, they were all very good. And I think we've got some great leaders here that are putting together great expectations for this year. I do have one more question. That's on the agreement for services with Kay Bowles and Deanna Eccles Hibbard.
Yeah, I wish Kelly was here to talk about it. She was so excited about this, to have these folks come live to work with the staff. So Coy Bowles is a Grammy-winning artist and was going to come and perform and work with everyone, but because of the COVID situation, wasn't able to do the training as initially planned. So now it's going to be a virtual training. So a little disappointed that we couldn't do the live piece that we wanted to, but still excited that this professional development will be a value added to the staff.
Okay. With that, if no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 No nays, vote passes 4-0. Number 20, consent agenda for Human Resource Services. Items 20A through 20F.
So moved.
Motion. Moved by Ms. Grooms,
Second.
second by Mr. TP. Is there any discussion or questions?
I would like to remind the board that item 20E was pulled from this section.
Right.
So your approval will be for items 20A through F with the exception of 20E.
Yes. Thank you.
We're okay with the motion as it stands then, just, okay.
We had already removed that one.
Okay.
With no questions, I can vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 No nays. Vote passes 4-0. Item 21, consent agenda items for innovation and technology services. Need a
So moved, even though there's not a spot for it.
moved by Mr. Giles.
Speak up, Dwayne.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Giles, second by Mr. TP. Any questions or discussion? Cavelto Electric.
Covello Electric, they're installing our sound systems in classrooms. So we finally got them. We ordered them in April. They're just starting to come in, and so they're installing them into classrooms.
Thank you. So for the vote, all in favor say aye.
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 No nays, vote passes 4-0. Now, 22, legislative and policy discussion. We have mainly second readings. Is there any discussion on any of these? I just want to be sure that we still carry forward the civility policy.
Absolutely.
That is still important. And suicide prevention also.
Absolutely.
As
There's a whole bunch of them.
all of these are
Child abuse.
covering a lot of different things, but hate, motivated behavior, any of those. If there's no objection, we'll just move these on to the next level. And say, number 20, ask for comments from Mr. Giles.
Okay, well, thanks for hanging in there, whoever's left. I guess our Mary Thurston's already left. I guess wanted to give her a shout out. I saw that she came later, but with our Constitution Week, it's always enjoy the Constitution stuff and enjoy hearing from our Daughters of the American Revolution, which my mom is one as well. Also, I was able to look up that El Dorado Park incident, and we'll give a shout out to the Sheriff's Department and mostly the staff at El Dorado for knowing how to handle that, because that's like when you don't deal with one right in the middle of that. So good job. I mean, I read some of the comments and everything was very positive. Of course, sometimes they weed out the negative ones, but I thought it was pretty good. So good job, El Dorado staff and Sheriff's Department. Great work. And parents, because parents had to be a patient as well. Great presentations from our Promise Academy and iReady and our social emotionally learning stuff and our assessments, all of our schools for their learning plans, all really good stuff. Kind of wanted to be two places at once. I wanted to watch the daughter at Amargosa Creek, but I was able to see the Facebook feed. Looks like they all had a really good time. Looked really fun, and my wife got to go. So, and thank you for indulging her letter, and thank you for your support with putting that forward. I know it's been a really hard year for us watching the kids do their stuff. We've been doing a lot of research, and it's just been hard. There's definitely a couple of different teams. There's people that can go both directions, but we're just trying to do what's best for kids and all kids. And I appreciate you guys being on the school board with me, and thanks for everybody that's hanging out with us. Thanks for the water too, West Wind. Yes, I think West Wind did the water and the key, so took care of us. Thank you.
I gave my transportation update earlier. I was very interested in the Milo project that intrigued me. I was also extremely interested to hear about drone clubs. My husband last week attended a press conference that Northrop held, and this was about the Model 401 that Northrop is building. It's a very small little jet. It's a pilot optional jet. The only reason that they have need to have a pilot on it is to land at airports around this country because of the FAA regulations. But with a toolbox and an hour and a half, they can convert that jet from a piloted jet to a drone. And that is how many miles away from your school? 4 miles away. So it's pretty amazing what our community is doing and preparing our kids for that. So anyway, congratulations to all of the schools that presented today. Each one of you have a different reflection of your campus and your culture, and it was obvious in your presentations. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. TP.
Thank you. Yeah, I also wanted to just say I'm excited about the proclamations coming up. Week of the School Administrator. It's great to recognize all the administrators and all the hard work they're doing. So glad to see that. Also, Character Counts Month. It's great to see we're emphasizing that throughout the school year. And School Safety Month, which we mentioned, El Dorado had a incident in practice, and was great to see that our communication programs and staff and everything handled that excellent with the sheriff's department. So great to see that working in progress. The presentations were fantastic. Neat to see the iReady scores from during virtual and the gains that were made, and also the plans that the schools have for addressing the gaps coming back to the regular classroom. And also it was great to see the presentations by the different school sites. Like Diane mentioned, the climate at each school, it was neat to see how they were highlighting their strengths and working with the community and really making great plans for this year. I'm really excited to see the gains that each of these schools are going to make with their plans that they have in place. Let's see. Also with Constitution Week, thanks to Mary, we're also addressing that every year. So glad to see that. And I think that was it. But thank you very much. Great board meeting.
Thank you, Greg. Dr. Bowers.
I will be brief. I just want to say thank you to everyone who presented this evening, and all of the presentations just really did evidence the amount of love and labor that goes into each and every day from our staff members. So thank you to everyone for all that you do and continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll keep it brief too. Good news again. Thank you, Rebecca, for the attendance report. It's always good to see an increase of 50 people for the last couple of weeks, and more than 100, almost 150 for the last year. So we're glad to have that. We are going to move forward with the Healthy Children's Resolution, and we'll see how that turns out. It will be a voted on item, if I'm not mistaken, requesting action. So we will have it on for action item by the board. And also the sports. Thanks, Jordan. The kids need that. Kids need to have all of the interaction they can get through the teachers and that. So we're looking forward to that. When will that start, by the way? October 9th. Great, great. And it'll be K through 5, correct? Okay. Well, with that, we have reached the end. I look at the time and say we can make a motion for adjournment at 9:16. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. TP, second by Mr. Giles. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. No negative. Vote passes 4-0. We are complete. Thank you.
Thank you very much, board. Thank you, audience. This meeting is adjourned.